Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the RantCast Podcast. 1 second to get everything here set up, and then we'll get started. Bring our other host on the line. Go ahead, Kurgan, whenever you're ready.
Oh yeah, I'm ready. RantCast. Haha. Oh man, so good to be back.
Well, once again,
Good to have you back.
before we get started here, it is July 18th, 2024, on a wonderful Thursday evening. We are on episode 43, is that correct? I'm gonna have to change that episode thing. I forgot to change it on the next slide.
Yep.
So you're gonna see me changing it, but actually I'll go ahead and do that while we're talking. But
43. Ribby's here. Hey, shout out to Ribby. He was on Ash Quest on Amalgam Ash's show, but apparently they had some sound issues. But still, he was there in chat form. So that's
nice.
Cool. Get this community together. I mean, we just talk about each other, but actually interacting. So it's cool that Ribby can be the bridge builder with his bourbon and his board games and his orc quest.
Okay.
And his remarkable rims.
So
yeah,
we're officially set up.
I gotta finish that one. His bourbon
once again,
right now.
Like I said before we get started, I am Josh. I'm also known as TheStrangeBus. You can catch me occasionally here on twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus. I'm joined by my other host here, that is Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest Fans. You can catch him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. That is twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. Sorry, I'm a little bit rusty on these intros. I wanted to make sure I had everything right and I wasn't completely screwing up on everything. But yes, welcome everybody. And I'm glad to be back. Finally, officially all moved in. We still have a couple of things that we're still moving around besides that, as you can tell. I still got a couple more things to hang up. I got a shelf to rearrange back there. But I am set up.
That's not a green screen.
No, it is not. It was
Wow, you got so much more room now.
painstakingly. Yes, this is pretty big. This was originally supposed to be the kids' room, but they wanted to take the older section of the house, which included a kids' playroom and stuff. So, and there is a
make sure there weren't any secret passageways that lead into other worlds.
no.
Maybe ruled by like
We just get a lot of spiders because we live out in the middle of the country, but that's about it.
spiders. No.
In fact, that's what took me so long. I ran into 2 long legs up in the master bedroom, so
Fuck down.
and I had to use the restroom. So yeah. So yes, Ruby, welcome. I hope you're doing okay. Congratulations on your thing with Amalgamash. And to everybody else that's hopped in, welcome. And we've got a couple of good topics today. At least for me, it's going to be Star Wars related, like it always is. We're going to be talking some more Star Wars. We're going to be talking some upcoming games. Might even be talking some Hero Quest if we got it in us.
Well, I'm glad you've got some topics because I was going to say we've hit kind of a little bit of a lull in Hero Quest. I mean, not a lot happening. I mean, we had the hullabaloo about the First Light AI cover, and then, well, maybe it's not AI, but it's kind of weird. And then we're just kind of waiting for GenCon to happen. They added First Light sessions at GenCon, and Ribby was kind enough to get some tickets. Thank you, Ribby. And if I'm still on his good side on August 1st, I'll have a spot at the table. So yeah, anybody that's going to Gen Con, definitely love to say hi. Lots of people from our community are going to be there, theoretically. I mean, if everybody can make it. I think last year there were actually people there, but we just didn't know who the other people were, so we probably walked by each other, and it's like, hey, watch the shoulders, buddy. It's like, but now we can meet up and play games.
Bumping elbows.
Yep. Rob Champ. Cheers, everyone. I'll see you there. Yep. Rob Champ's going to be there. PSK is going to be there. Ribby. Angus McBain, a.k.a. Joe Kozier. A few other people have said they're going to be there. Some people who were going to be there can't make it. But, I mean, it's a big trip for some of us. And, especially if you've got kids, are you going to bring them along? If you're local, it's one thing, but if you're traveling across country, maybe not.
Right.
I mean, they had stuff for kids to do, but I don't know. If I had kids, I'd drag them along, and then we'd only have so much energy. So, yeah.
No, that's
so
understandable. Just before we get into those, like I said, we're kind of getting into personal stuff. How have you been in the last couple of weeks? Besides, talking about GenCon and stuff. What's been going on? Anything new?
For me personally,
Mm-hmm.
Not really anything. I've pretty much just thrown myself into doing that. I mean, we had some close calls with some weather, but we got through that okay. I know some places were hit harder. There's been floods, there've been heat waves, tornadoes. I've been painting miniatures, I've been printing stuff, making t-shirts. I may have made some it's like I may have gone too far in a few places. I made a couple of RantCast t-shirts. I don't have them to show at the moment, but no Grognak the Legend shirt. I suppose maybe I'll get in trouble with Bethesda if I put that out. But technically, I did print out the box that Hispazargon was featuring. It's like a recreation of the Hero Collection box from the other Hero Quest packs, but it's for the Legend. And you fold it, and it's got a little like championship belt over it in cardboard. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to cut that thing out, glue it to some chipboard, and assemble it. It's gonna be great. I'm excited. So yeah, other than that, I mean, just working, just trying to keep ahead of the curve.
A lot of close calls that we have. I can't believe how I don't know how you. I don't even know what the word is. How coincidental when we try to make up something like with the RantCast and Rognak, how somebody not only has done it, but they've done it so similar. How it's literally almost the same. We got Lewis Black's RantCast, and then Bethesda's Grognak, because those were things that we both just brought up, and I know Fallout games, but like Grognak is such a small Easter egg that you have to be a continuous Bethesda player or have seen it before. It didn't even register in my brain, so either it was a sleeper thing in my brain when I brought it up, or because I didn't even remember it until like way afterwards. So
yeah, it's weird. It's like you think you're like, man, I just invented chocolate chip cookies. This is great. It's like, oh, dude, hate to break it to you. It's like, no, well, I can't have anything.
Yeah.
And I left from the future.
And the RantCast was like something unique for both of us, and we're like, oh damn. So that's why we switched it over to the RantCast podcast. Yeah. So. But. Yeah, kind of it's nice.
Good idea to yourself, I guess.
Yeah, and that's okay if nothing truly is going on. I've always said it's nice. It's nice to be boring every once in a while, because that means you're not having to fight to do anything. You're not having to rush to do anything. If life is mundane every once in a while, that's okay. It's good to take a breather every now and then. So.
Yeah.
Especially before a busy time like GenCon, and like I said, we're at the midpoint in the year already, so holidays are gonna be coming up here soon. We got
adventures make one late for dinner.
Yeah. And the three big ones are coming up, and when you've got 4 kids like me, that's like literally you blink and it's gone because you're so busy. and I can't imagine how my wife feels, because just with me, like, alone, I can remember this stuff, but like it's just one of those things where like free time is such a treasure, or you're sacrificing sleep to get it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any kids, but I've been told, yeah, it sucks up your life, but then later you look back and you're like, wow, I did all this stuff, you know. I
Well,
shaped the lives of these people, and it's just like,
it's to me it's
overwhelmed by it.
a thing where like uh, it's not necessarily can't live with them, can't live without them sort of deal. It's more of a um, you literally can't remember much of your life without them. You know, you like, I remember like parts of my life where I was busy and I didn't have kids, but like I was like, man, why don't I remember not having time? Because like I could fit blocks of time in now just fine. Like, you know, I juggle like a couple things here and there, and then I'm like, okay, now I've got like this much time to spare afterwards. But you know, now it's, you know, one of those things where, you know, back in the day I was like, okay, I've got dishes to do, I got bills to pay, then I've got this to do. It's like separate blocks. Like, people handle their time differently, and if you don't want to do 3 or 4 things at once, you don't need to do it. And that's why I feel like if you're given the choice and you're used to doing 1 or 2 things at once, you're probably going to do that, and then you'll have the time to do what you need to do. And some people, they're good at managing their time like that, and then there's some people who are like a lot slower, and like, you know, I'm not saying that people who don't have kids are, you know, they're any lesser of a human being than I am. What I'm saying is like, some people are good at just doing that much in one time block, but when you start to have more than 2 kids, juggling 3 or 4 things at once tends to teach you to, I think, manage time a lot harder. I think, because you do lose that time, like that time block. And I feel like if I didn't have kids now and I was juggling 3 or 4 things at once, yeah, I'd forget things a little bit more like I do now. But man, I would have almost the whole day, unless I was like mowing the lawn or like
So
cooking
that's
dinner
what
or
dad
something.
brain is. It's like you've
Well,
devoted so much space to all this stuff that
like I said, I can't, like, like now my wife's handling them while I do the podcast. So, you know, applause to my wife right now, because she's the one handling all 4 of them, and she's getting them in the, you know, getting them cleaned up, they're brushing their teeth, and she has the baby in her arms. So that's a lot. But like I said, it's kind of like a flip flop for us, you know. Carry the burden between both of us.
Yeah.
But it's
3 cheers for Mrs. StrangeBus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But with the move, everything was kind of the same thing. But man, I'm glad that's over, because I also had to do yard work for the first time. I had to do landscaping, because when we first moved in here, the backyard was a complete mess, and it wasn't just like, you know, it just needed to be mowed. Like, the bricks they had were in like shambles, like the ground plates, because they had dug up the yard to put the sewage system back in, and the contractors or whatever did not put everything back together. They just, you know, threw the dirt back on, and that's why I have this big plot of dirt out right by my deck here. So I have been manually landscaping with my hands and like a shovel on top of it, like lifting and stuff like that. And I feel like I have toned more muscle in my back and arms and shoulders than I ever have in my life.
You were playing Minecraft for real.
Well, yeah, and like I think I've like, I would say I feel better, like, but I also feel like tired all the time. I'm just exhausted. Um, that's half the time when I get on my stream, and if anybody's ever watched my stream or has watched my last couple streams, they've been a mess because they like my internet wasn't properly calibrated the first time I said I'd come back on, and it just like I was streaming for like 30 minutes, and I realized that I just like my connection wasn't there, and Streamlabs was giving me a warning, and I was like, fuck it, and I just like got up and just turned everything off because I was so tired, and like I'd put pretty much everything in there, and then like the next day, the next day I tried again, and I got tired after my BRB, and I was like, yeah, I'm going back. I'm just going to bed. Like, so I finally am starting to get regulated and getting back into the groove of things. So, yeah, it'll be nice. Plus, I turned my new dresser into kind of like a walk-in bar. And like I used a prior table we had, and it's like a cigar lounge and bar thing. And then I mounted those 3 shelves and put up I don't know if you can see it. There's like a catchy little alcohol sign. I'm gonna put my more shelving up to hang up the HeroQuest boxes, and a couple of things. My katana is hanging up above my porch. Just a lot of cool stuff. Yeah.
Yep.
Then like what you used to see, I don't think you could see it in the other old place, but like my peripheral devices and stuff are hung up above my screens and stuff. So I don't know how my sound's coming off now, if people can hear me clear enough, but I've been calibrating sound the last couple days too. So, but yeah, it's been really fun. So
cool. Yeah. Makes me wish I had a new place so I could do all this, but I'm not looking forward to moving either. Of course, just me. So, I mean, you have to had to move a whole family.
I mean,
and like I said, all that landscaping and
it's a bigger place, and it's got really cool like pluses. Like it's got a nice backyard. Like I got it's a half acre, but it's also, and I'm allowed to burn here because I'm like in the middle of prairie land, so I don't need like a permit for any of that. So I like my neighbor gave me like a big tractor tire rim, and he like had a grill mount on it and stuff like that. So I'm like it's like all rednecked out. And I'm just gonna get some brick and put brick around it, like, you know, nice brick, so it'll be like a makeshift fire pit. But I've already lit fire in there and stuff, but to burn like the sticks in the yard, like, and but yeah,
that's a really nice thing.
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I remember my family having like campfires and stuff in our backyard, and it was like just a part of growing up. So.
It's a nice smell, and like my wife told me I smelled like fire, like wood burning stove, pretty much when I came in, because that's what it was. Like when you you add like, because I add like accelerant pretty much. I just add like lighter fuel underneath just to get it going when I'm like burning sticks and tinder. But like
you don't need that. Just some dryer lint and a match.
But yeah,
I mean,
like
it's wet.
But like I'll throw it in, and then like just to get it to burn faster, I'll just throw a fuck ton of lighter fluid in there, and then I'll just light it. Poof. But yeah, like,
fire.
Yeah, so like when I start adding like branches, because like I said, I have a bunch of old trees surrounding my place, which I'm trying to get the property manager to cut, but I don't think they want to, because I had to get on my roof and like scrape branches off my roof. But when I throw those in there, it like creates a smoky, like kind of like a smoker type smell, which I don't know if you can technically cook with that sort of stuff. Like I think proper firewood you could probably grill with, but like I don't know if I really want to do smoking and grilling with that, but like technically I guess you could.
Yeah, best to do some research. I mean, you don't want to burn treated wood, but if it's just natural, what's wrong with that?
Yeah,
as long as it's dry.
So I've never done that before, but like I've talked to some people and they said it's fine. Like, you know, if you as long as it's dry enough to burn, it should be fine. And it doesn't have chemicals all over it.
Yeah, I guess that the chemicals you use, that makes a difference. Because
Yeah.
like if you because when you do the charcoal briquettes, you put lighter fluid on those, but I mean they burn for a certain amount of time.
Well,
See, I
yeah.
hardly ever do that. I just do like regular, like wood fires. We don't use a lot of other stuff.
Yeah, so like what I'm saying is like because it's got a grill pan on the fire pit, so you can like grill on it. I
Nice.
was like, that's neat, and like you can get a cover for it to smoke with it on top of that. So like I was like, that's also neat.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Smoked
like
sausage, smoked ham.
but yeah, with a half acre, the lawn is very like not smooth because they dug everywhere, and there's patches in it that I need to fix with some seed and turf, and I already got 3 bags of dirt that I have to lay out. So I am fixing that. That's a pet project of mine currently right now. Is just trying to fix the lawn, and with a with a push mower, a battery powered push mower, it takes like forever to do both sides, and I have to wait because my battery dies. But yeah, and the other negative is I have no basement here. There's
Where's
like
the
a
Roomba
crawl
lawnmower?
space. Oh no, that's not happening. I I have to invest in a riding mower eventually, but like right now
Man,
with
you're gonna
prices
be like
skyrocketing,
the
it's a
ultimate dad. You're gonna have the helmet with the beer cans on it with the straw come
no,
down while you're on the riding lawnmower
no. Like I said, this
and the
place is
little
nice,
ooga ooga.
but I don't know if it's somewhere I'd like want to stay because, like I said, it's got a crawl space, but it doesn't have like a basement. So and there's almost virtually no storage space in this place. So it was like an old house, and the guy was like building closets before the property manager took it over. So we have closets, but they don't have like doors. They're just like in like closet indents with shelves on them, and like you can hang your clothes up there, which it's okay, I guess. But like, and I guess you could build them yourself, but like, it doesn't really matter much to me because like, you know, it's whatever. The house looks nice enough that it doesn't. They're like pretty much makeshift rooms, but yeah, there's like no. Usually, like houses have like pantries or they have like a storage closet, and there's none of that. There's just a really big kitchen and there's like utility drawers and stuff in the kitchen. So, and then there's like one area for where the boiler and stuff is for your like Christmas decorations and stuff. Other than that, I have a 2-car garage to put all my other I don't give a shit type of stuff. And so, but yeah, I've gabbed enough about that house.
Don't show them where your gun locker is.
Oh,
There was some guy. I'm not saying that you have one, but there was this guy on YouTube. He was like showing people where he stored his guns because just a thing that he was talking about. And then like later he's like, "Yep, somebody broke in and stole them." It's like what? I guess they pieced it together from like watching the video, like how they could get in and get the stuff.
yeah. No, I've got one. I've got one gun safe, and it's like it's hung up very high because I have kids, and it's biometric. So the key is at my grandfather's. So, and I don't even know the code to it anymore. So it's like it would take a miracle for them to get into it, and they'd have to get up to it anyway.
Yeah, they still got to get through the katana.
Yeah. But yeah, and I have other like measures after that. So yeah, I have my safety measures and stuff for that. But yeah, it's besides
Intruder
that,
countermeasures. You've heard of Macaulay Culkin, right? Okay, well, enough said.
oh my gosh. Yeah, like I've made some use of this space. Like I said, I still get to find stuff for my other drawers and everything like that, and it's been a nice experience. So
You don't have a scary window behind you anymore where faces can just like randomly appear during Halloween
no,
streams.
but like I've got a deck window. And the cool thing about these blinds is that they're magnetic. So there's like a little switch up there where like you just move them and they'll go in and out. And then like you hit another switch and pull it down and the thing comes up. They're like those fancy blinds.
Fancy.
Yeah.
You'll have to have me over sometime and you can show me all these cool things.
Because this place is big enough to do probably a game setup. And you can do it right here.
You renting any rooms? No, you can't sublet probably. Just kidding. Yeah.
Probably not.
I can do some of the yard work and get pumped up.
Yeah, you'd be digging the stone out of my yard. That's another thing. I had to dig from where they were just burying it, from throwing like the dirt back into the ground. Because when they dug up, they destroyed whatever stone walkway was out here. So when I was digging it back up because my mower kept hitting stone that was stuck in the ground and it was like damaging my mower.
So someone's bright idea to just bury everything. Nobody else.
Well, they were cheap. The property manager bought the place, I think, for like $100,000 because it was an old home. It was like built in the 40s. And then the guy added this section. There was like and the original owners were still living here. They were like old. But the guy added like another section, like a really big section to the house. Because there was like originally a 3-bedroom, but the 2 rooms way over there on the other side of the house are like, they're iffy to be counted as rooms. They're what my kids are in right now because they're like upstairs, like kids' rooms. But
you're one of these days you're gonna find like a secret portal that like leads somewhere.
Yeah, it's but like, so they technically the place is 4 bedrooms at 2,200 square feet, and it doesn't look like it, but
bigger on the inside.
Yeah. But he made a really giant master bedroom right above here, and like they finished it when they took over and added a second bathroom. So, and that's where it's at right now. But they had to add another sewage system, and they were so cheap that they put the sewer and sub pump line above ground, like not all the way, but like it's sticking up, and the the lids for the system are above ground, so I don't I'm layering around them with dirt so they don't like emit any odor or like they're not making the ground unstable. And then I'm digging the stone that was just buried randomly in the ground from when they just threw the dirt back on to the lawn.
Now, are you worried at all that as you're digging you're gonna hit like power lines or
no, because I'm not digging that deep. Like I said, most of the stuff that I'm hitting is like it's sticking up out of the ground. So I'm just taking a shovel and ripping it out of the ground.
Like, so not like the dwarves in the Mines of Moria.
No, and like I said, none of that stuff's close enough to the sewer line to where I'd like damage anything. It's just they were really lazy. They dug everything up, redid the roof, and like when they were done, I think they were like coming close to their quota. They just threw everything back onto the ground. So, and like I wasn't gonna live like that. So, and technically, I don't know if they like really care. Even though technically, I'd have to call the property manager and ask them if it would be okay to modify the house. But like,
allegedly,
it's the stone in the ground, and like if I'm the one making their place like look better, I've done it twice to 2 different properties because they were lazy and they like actually thanked me for it. So
yeah, if anything, they should give you a break.
They won't, but like, you know, whatever.
It's like, do something nice, no comment. Do something bad, okay, that's it.
Well, it's a ton of money.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, shall we get started?
Yes.
Thanks for all of you people who have been patient enough to deal with my random canoodling. Or, you know.
It's a different kind.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear you got moved in. Glad to have you back, and looks like it's working out for you. So
Yeah,
cool.
it's happening. It's happening, Captain. Um, yeah. Besides that, not much else going on. Just playing Breakpoint and um,
What is Breakpoint?
it's a Ubisoft game. I don't recommend it. Don't play Ubisoft games; they're awful. But I thought if I was gonna be able to, if I was ever gonna play Outlaws, I might as well get back into that. I mean, I've also, since I've been really busy, had like a taste for mediocre games. So
Mediocre.
and that's exactly what that is just mediocre. I mean, it's okay. It's just yeah, it's nothing that like really pulls you in or does anything else. No. Um.
Speaking of games that are not mediocre, the Force Engine just had an update. I sent that
Oh,
to you.
Yep.
After months and months. See, after the Dark Forces remaster from Night Dive came out, he suddenly got really quiet, and it was like Lucius had said, "Oh no, this won't compromise the project. We're not competing or anything because his project is free and you need the official game. Their project is commercial, and you buy it." But yeah, he released a new version and it's compatible. So you can just like drop the assets in and use it in his engine or their engine, whatever you want.
Unless there's anything drastically different, or I'm requested to play it on my stream, I probably won't be revisiting the Force Engine. Really, because I played halfway through, and then I played almost all the way through the remaster, or if not, probably about the same, and I enjoyed both of them, but
I replayed Dark Forces. I think I did. Yeah, I played it on hard using the Force Engine. So like not the current version, but the version before that.
Like I said, I think they're both
mods
good
out there, but yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, they're both good. It's just like one to me, unless it's like massively overhauled. Like to some people who've like I said, maybe you who's played the very original, there's some things that bring you back to that. So a change like that will bring you back. Like to me, like going from the Force Engine to the remaster, and then like, oh, they've updated the Force Engine. Well, is there anything like massively different that's gonna want to call me back to that, or can I just keep playing the remaster and get the same experience? Because like to me, that's what that is. Like I'm not dogging Lucius at all. What I'm saying is like I can pick up either or right now and probably still get a really good experience from both. So, because Night Dive does really good stuff, and they probably had a collaboration with him, maybe. So
yeah, they compared code. They didn't copy and paste or anything. It was just like, oh, how did you do this thing? I did it like this. Oh, okay, and I did it like this.
If Star Wars was in a really, like, I guess this is gonna get us into our next topic. If Star Wars was in a really bad fucking situation right now, I would be like advocating for like a pretty much a Jedi Knight like remaster, like for like somebody to take it into because like we can't just be offering remasters of the game engine anymore, or asking for like a remaster of Dark Forces and like Jedi Academy, or like maybe using a game engine like I don't know, like Unreal or something. Like there's somebody who is doing.
I was just thinking the same thing. The guy who did a remake of Dark Forces 2 Jedi Knight in the Unreal Engine, but his was
very far away.
I mean,
it's very far away from being done.
Yeah, well, and he was using like the speed of like Jedi Outcast, so the game was much slower, and the saber combat as a result is completely different.
Okay, but
which is fine.
To me that's different. That's fine because that adds like a difference to the gameplay, which makes me want to return to that game.
Oh, so you're saying like if they just took the classic game, gave it modern graphics and easy matchmaking for online, you wouldn't care. You'd want it.
I mean, I'd probably still play it, but what I'm saying is like what happens
is a new game loosely inspired by the the classic.
No,
like sequel.
what I'm saying is the reason we had and I'm not saying like we don't have them now, but a big reason that we had them and they were really appealing to us, or at least to me as a child, was the fact that we had less realistic like games back then. What drew you into the game, I feel, was your imagination plus the fact that you had the challenge, right? So I think the speed like added to that, the action, the fast paced shooting, the fact that a lot of people took inspiration from like Doom and other big FPSs back from that time, and when they brought back Doom like in a big way from like 2016, the speed was still the same. It was still pretty much there, but like they added a lot of other tweaks to it, like the finishers and stuff. And so they not only just had you shooting things and blasting things with different weapons. See, even Ribby's saying it, man. Doom 2016 did do it perfect. That game, if you were not only good enough and skillful enough, that game was flawless to the point where like you could keep a rhythm going to the music, to how you killed demons, and like the flow was great.
Yeah.
Like and it was good.
It's possible to do that without just copying. Ribby's talking about, well, where's the reload button? Was his reaction at the time? Yeah, I'm thinking of a game like Serious Sam.
But like I didn't have to. Yeah, you didn't have to think about it.
Game, and it was super popular,
because
fun.
it was what, like a lot of those were like they were like futuristic weapons and stuff for Doom a lot of the time. So like
why do they have to be like 1980s like action movie weapons?
Most of the time, like if a weapon needed reloaded, it was reloaded seamlessly. So like I don't even know what the super shotgun back then, or even in that game, if it did reload. I can't remember, but like
the original Doom and Doom 2.
No, in the original one, he like reloaded it after a shot, I think. Like he just threw the bullets in there.
Shoot, and then it would show the reload animation would just happen. You didn't have to press a button.
But oh my gosh, the soundtrack to that was fire, man. It was great. It just
I
slapped.
played the 2003 game, and I didn't pay attention to it afterwards. Kind of like Wolfenstein. I mean,
that one came back for a little while,
and then ignored it.
Like
just kind of lost interest.
People were enjoying the weird remake of Doom 2003. Like it was a because I can't remember if that was favorable or not back in the day, but
it was so hyped. It had like just gigantic hype, and I don't think it lived up to it. But
I just remember seeing the demo back in the day and freaking out because I was so
it was meant to be atmospheric, and actually it was kind of a throwback to what the original Doom was supposed to be, which was like Aliens, the movie. Like that's what it was supposed to be, really. It wasn't about like shooting demons with a shotgun, but that's what it became. So it tried to do much more of that suspense, and I just remember it having a lot of weird stuff because you could just like walk around and just like swing your flashlight at people and just like splatter them, and they're just like, oh, I guess I can't talk to that guy now because I just like killed him with one blow from this explosive flashlight. Because you're just supposed to just like talk to people and stuff before the monsters show up. See, I really liked how Deus Ex did that. They're just like, oh, you just want to screw with these people? Fine. You barricade yourself in the bathroom and throw fire extinguishers in the office. Like, I got so distracted by that I couldn't even finish the game. It's one of my infamous gaming moments. But so there's good games out there. I guess what I thought you were going to say about the Jedi Knight situation was, why play a remaster? You can just play the original. It still works. It's still there.
I mean,
it's
also, I don't...
nostalgia instead of, I get some of the nostalgia, and this remaster doesn't quite do it for me, and they almost got it right.
I don't disagree with that either, like, at the same point, but I do feel like in order to draw the mid-ground audience, which are like for a game like that, I mean, like I enjoy like Dark Forces because that's a game that I kind of grew up around, because it's in the same, like, I guess it's in the same like like or not trilogy, but like series. So I'd play it anyway. But like for games that I enjoyed more, I feel like remaster, like not a remaster, but like a revamping doesn't hurt if done correctly.
If done
It doesn't have to. It doesn't have to be super expensive. It doesn't have to be like super AAA. It's because I can ask for that without it being like the typical remaster that they do now, like or when they're trying to like remake something and completely reinvent the wheel.
Okay, I'm just quoting.
Daikatana.
Yeah, Ribby brought up. I was at E3 when they showed Daikatana.
John Romero's about to make you his bitch.
Yeah, man, joke was on him.
Dude, that game looked like it had so much potential at one point in time.
It did, yeah, and it failed so spectacularly on so many levels.
It even had a Game Boy port at one point.
Didn't it have an N64 as well?
Yeah, which was probably the worst. I would say because the Game Boy had like RPG elements in it that like looked like they were working. It was just a really crappy like port because it was Game Boy and not everything worked for the Game Boy.
It's like the Doom RPG.
But man,
Super Mario RPG. Well, yeah, Daikatana, and there is a very funny but very inappropriate MP3 out there called Superflies Johnson, where they just took the audio clips from Daikatana and arranged them in a way that tells a story that was never intended to be told by the game.
How inappropriate?
Like college humor level, basically.
Like not okay for Twitch?
Oh, well, I mean, this is the RantCast, so.
I mean, I don't care about that.
As
long as we keep it, as long as it's So Superflies Johnson, suck it down.
Yep.
Well, 16 years ago, damn.
Yep.
It's 2 minutes 4 seconds.
Yep. Okay. If there's any kids listening, first of all, shame on you. Why are they?
Yeah, shame on you. This is 18 plus. That's what I'm asking you. It's okay if it's NSFW, but like, is it like how inappropriate is inappropriate? Okay.
You've heard this.
I'm playing it.
You will.
I probably have, but I just want to make sure. Here we go.
I laughed so hard my sides were hurting first time I heard it. And I didn't even play the game. I mean, I played the game a little bit, but it was just like, wow. This is comedy gold.
Mind giving me a hand?
But when you're a certain age, that's the kind of stuff that you
can't without my buddy Superfly.
No fair that you get all the fun.
I seriously need
excuses for why that game failed were legendary.
Yeah.
Wait.
Ready for some action.
Ion Storm.
Wait.
Ion Storm produced.
Wait. Shh. Wait.
Looks interesting.
Wait. Another tight squeeze.
It's all game audio, just rearranged.
There you go. Never said I didn't do anything for you guys. Oh man. Banned for life. Oh boy. Oh wow. Okay, this is perfect. So away from the Daikon, I was looking up Outlaws stuff, and I guess as of 13 hours ago, Outlaws
Like
got its
Katana
new. No, Outlaws got its new first 10 minutes of gameplay. Is that true? So I was expecting it to get delayed with all the backlash, but
We've got to find a way.
it hurts. Alright, so I'm not going to get into the acolyte until probably later tonight. But I do want to once again bring up, because I brought it up on stream. I've also brought up, probably here, I think last RantCast, that I'll probably be getting Outlaws. I'll be getting the base version because I'm not that much of a sucker. I do not recommend people get it day one if they have any interest at all. The based version, yes, because I'm based.
Oh,
Ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do. But so I want to. I'm personally gonna be interested in it. Now I'm gonna rewatch this. I'm gonna watch this video. I'm gonna put it up on the screen. And whoever else has an opinion, please put it in chat. Let me know how you feel. I don't know how many people in chat currently are huge Star Wars fans, but if you do have any interest in it, I would advise waiting. Because a lot of streamers and stuff are probably going to buy this anyway.
You get to see it, through their eyes.
So Ribby's just whipping out one-liners.
Yes. Woo! Woo, Caster Troy.
Just have no idea where that came from, but
I just think it's like, what's your opinion? I want to take his face off.
So
Face right off. Eyes, nose, chin.
that's gonna be like that's gonna be a RantCast soundbite.
I barely remember that movie, but man, some parts of it.
No, I knew it was a face-off reference. It was just random. Like, I'm talking about Outlaws, and I just see I'm Caster Troy.
Caster Troy was an outlaw.
Indeed.
Not like Kaiser Soze. Yeah. Different movie.
Here we go. Now you got me doing it.
Just like
You got me doing it. You got me doing it.
do it, folks.
Where is it? Oh, I can't show it because of the
Watch your fucking mouth. Fucking mouth.
the DMCA. But I wanna see if I can catch it.
No.
Lock him
Yeah.
down.
Do they even have the? Or is this just a random bite? Where is that?
I hate that when you can't. It's like you watch a
I
funny
can't
clip
find it.
and you can't
No.
find it when you want it. Physical media.
Oh
Spin
no,
up
don't do that.
Laserdisc.
I got the crazy face, but I didn't get the line. It made me sad.
Yeah, get it from Walmart before they empty that bargain bin into the trash.
All right. Okay, is everybody ready? Did we get our caster try off, or do we need more? Do I need to put the picture in the corner of the stream? Let's see.
Whatever you think is best.
burning for some reason. Is that me? Oh
Are
no,
you
my
gonna be
wife's
like that
my wife's
streamer where
cooking.
you like
I think.
out a fire, like on stream?
Well, like my door's closed, and I just like, I was like, what is that smell? And like, oh no, it's starting to smell like fried food. But at first, it wasn't smelling like fried food, and I was like, what is that? Like something burning? Like, okay, yeah, this was a day ago. There we go. They say gameplay, but this doesn't look like it. It looks like a cutscene. So wonderful. So beautiful. It would be so beautiful.
This month's IGN First is Star Wars Outlaws.
Oh boy.
We'll be diving deep into Massive Entertainment's open world adventure.
This is IGN. I screwed up. I don't want IGN. Get out of here, IGN. I'm not trying to rip off you.
Can't say anything bad about them. They sponsored my trip to E3, the late E3.
This is all like,
The only other time I've been to a trade show, besides GenCon. Well, I guess GenCon is more of a fan event.
Oh, so
but I
this
mean,
is the
yeah,
gameplay. People just played this early then? Well, what the shit?
early access.
So this is IGN. IGN did this first. Okay, so I don't understand. I'm an old man, so I don't understand.
No further use for you. Oh.
Here we go. Let's see if it's any different from what they showed before. Well, this is by IGN, I guess.
Hey,
I can't
I
see
heard
the
you could put a
sand
turret
crawler
on
anymore
my
without
ship.
thinking about that Super Star Wars level where you've got to jump up those platforms.
I'm sorry.
She said she'll put a turret anywhere if you give her a tooth. Forgive the intrusion, but I sensed you needed an interpreter.
Oh, thanks, but
Oof.
I'm not giving her a tooth.
No, not your
Need a
tooth.
hairdresser.
Sarlacc tooth. One from its second
A hair
mouth.
helmet.
Second mouth. Oh,
It's not that, it's the
You won't take credits?
animations look a little stiff.
She says if you won't pay for breakfast, you can eat sand for free. A Jawa proverb.
No, I get it. I'll get the tooth. But that turret better be good.
You have a deal? How
It's
exciting.
fingers.
You know, this reminds me of my time negotiating with the Trade Federal.
Hey, ND, you know where I can get a
They greatly expanded the
Sarlacc
Jawa lore in
tooth?
The Mandalorian, I hear.
Sarlacc. And you need to find its pit. I'd start in the Dune Sea.
What
By
is
greatly
that?
expanded, they eat eggs. My theory is that the Jawas and the Ewoks are the same species.
So,
Stay sharp, Kay.
from what I can tell here, it looks like
Worth a lot on the
it
platform.
really is going to be open world
You
then.
saying I'll have competition?
Bike thing looks kind of cool. Makes me think of
But look how huge everything is. I mean, this is just Tatooine, so it's all just sand, but like, if all that's explorable, that's pretty massive. Now give us something that isn't Tatooine, right?
it's everywhere. Maybe it's Jakku.
Oh, fuck off.
It's a dead
Well, you wonder why
Sarlacc.
there's so many desert planets
Who
in
knows
Star
what's
Wars. Is
crawling
it because
around
they
down
sucked
there?
all the raw materials out and just left the
Oh
sand?
look,
for people to
look
live?
what we're doing. We're Ghost Reconning again. I literally was just doing this not more than moments ago. You scout for enemies.
We're going in
So this is okay. Finally, we're in gameplay.
Yeah.
Or well, I guess
That's one math down.
the bike was a
You good, buddy?
cutscene.
No, it wasn't a cutscene. You were traveling there.
Fast travel. And you got
No,
your
like-
little Pikachu.
And according to what they're saying, that's all
Leathery.
like you.
So you could go somewhere else.
Yeah, it's supposed to be open world.
See, this makes me think of Jedi Survivor.
See, Jedi Survivor was
Fallen Order.
Metroidvania though,
The Jawas have arrived.
so it was
at the
huge.
ship.
But like,
Did they bring a turret?
this is supposed to be a little bit more like freer than that.
Yet to confirm that it works.
It's supposed to be multiple planets.
Okay, well, you keep an eye on that. I've
Man.
gotta find a way down to the bottom
Every
of this pit.
time they show or promise something like that, I always feel like I'm disappointed. The only thing that really blew me away was that Battlefront 3, where I was
Now
just
hold
like,
on.
wow.
Let's save it for afterwards.
Okay.
We'll see what this is first.
Ugh. So many dead things in this dead thing.
I mean, it's got a lot of flavor. But it seems very linear now.
Well, that worked.
There's just no crystal foxes.
Hey, Bohemius.
What do you see?
Yes. Yes.
Phew, the tooth. Finally.
Oh man,
Sorry, droid.
Bohemius.
I need this more than you.
He took my headcanon to the next level.
Finally. What's your status?
Well, I found a tooth. Now I just need to get out of this pit. Why?
Hey,
Worried about
Mordecon.
me?
About you? No.
This guy is-
Hurry,
What's
please.
going on?
Yep. Yeah, that's true. And the planets were actually all on the same planet. Ah, think about that one.
Based.
Yep. And the spaceships were all like really small. Oh man, it's the old thrown by the explosion trope.
Hey, come back here. That's
I know,
my
in every
tooth.
action movie it happens. It's like, well, if that really happened to you, your bones would all be shattered, your organs would be destroyed.
Wait.
But it's not about realism, it's about recreating that
All right,
fantasy
Max.
that you see in
Go
other
get it.
Okay,
places.
so far, what we've seen is there's a lot of
Dude,
common Ubisoft gameplay mechanics so far.
This part right here. I know you could say it's a docking bay. This gives me really strong Jedi Academy vibes.
But it is a docking bay,
Yeah,
and you're on Tatooine.
All this for a tooth.
of course.
But a lot of typical Ubisoft.
Yeah, and then the Falcon is parked
Like
over to the
gameplay
right,
mechanics.
and you fight Obi-Wan's ghost. He gets killed by the.
Ooh, and those
jet.
frame rates, man, do not look good.
Well, they're not playing on
They're headed for us.
full RTX Red
Got the
Rock.
tooth. I should get out of here.
Java.
You never know, man.
Um,
I'm telling you right now, that could be signs of performance like really bad. Like you got like we dropped
Well-
below 30 at least twice so far.
don't the people that get these early access have like Ninja PCs anyway? So
Well,
They're
dude,
not-
I have a pretty good PC, and I still get games that like when they come out day one, they run like poop. It's not hardware related all the time, man.
yeah. Well, I kind of remember when the Force Unleashed, the first one, came to PC. It was like, what is this unoptimized crap? It was like you had to like run the game a couple of times, and then it would, I guess it would cache everything, and then it would like run
So,
it out.
Bohemius,
Played it,
Jawas are getting impatient.
Outlaws is supposed to take place between Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi, but I don't know if it has any real relevance.
I'm headed back to their
Shout out
boss
to the
now, alright? Just, try to stay in one
Yeah,
piece.
besides overriding Shadows of the Empire.
Here.
Yep.
Straight from the,
Yeah, Dasher
second
Undar
mouth.
looks a lot different in this one.
Vash Rendara.
Yep.
That's
sex
good,
swapped him.
right?
Oh, yes. I love watching the wheels of commerce in motion.
Ah, Criff, it's hot, Nix.
After Lucius has finished his work on Dark Forces, he's gonna add Outlaws to the end. Can't wait. Not this Outlaws, the old LucasArts Outlaws, the Cowboy Outlaws. I mean, this game looks like it could be fun.
So, I also
People who have played similar games, what do they consider?
Okay, so this right here, Kurgan, is what they're talking about with like you can go multiple planets. There looks to be a huge open world within the world that you were just at. But there's a lot of negatives that I'm noticing, and I'll bring this up after we're done.
Another Starfield.
We'll have more exclusive looks at Star Wars Outlaws for
No, you
you
won't.
throughout July.
Connection with Boba Fett and Mandalorian.
There we go.
That's kinda
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, from what I can tell here, let me go ahead and I'm never prepared. I'm never ever prepared. Okay. And I'll bring these back up in the
I wanted a Jabba the Hutt game where you have to like manage his criminal empire. That would have been cool.
So if we noticed this game, as far as last year, has claimed that it's open world, right? Well, what classifies open world in a Star Wars game? To me, it's more than one planet, and that planet is explorable in more than one way, meaning that you have the chance to go wherever you want, when you want, and it's more of like a GTA type experience, where the game is not bound to the storyline, and it's not bound to quests or puzzles. And I'm getting to that Bohemius right now. He just said the starship designs lately are lacking. I feel like that also has to do with time constraints. If you've noticed with this game, moving on to my next topic, and how they've showcased it, the game's concept design looks really bland, down from the blaster to the pet to the ship. And those are the things that I'm noticing like really, really bad. The blaster really just looks kind of like now I could be wrong. I'm not as huge of a Star Wars nerd as I used to be, especially with how they keep pumping out shit all the time. But like, that blaster just looks very, very, very bland, like very, very, very bland. And as far as the speeder goes, the speeder I think has come from something else or has been inspired from something else. So I can't really like say that that's anybody else's fault, but the ship is pretty much just a block. You're flying a big blocky freighter around. Now, that could be a good excuse.
Star Wars,
yes, but that could be a good excuse. That could be a good excuse for like cargo freighters and stuff. But that thing it's supposed to be a maneuverable, flyable ship for your character to travel in. Now, if you start off with that and are able to upgrade it, switch it, buy other ships, cool. But I don't think that's going to be the case in this title, because one, it's a Ubisoft title. They pump these things out like they're going out of style. And with the gameplay mechanics, like I said, I'd be able to defend it, but if there was more going for it and they're just not showing us, but I don't think they're going to. But like I said, the gameplay mechanics were pretty much the same as like I said in Breakpoint. Breakpoint is an open world type game. It's not technically open world in my specifications, but they can call it that because you get this huge ass map it's very, very big. Like, I would say almost bigger than like GTA. And you get multiple sections of the continent to go to. You take a helicopter. You can pretty much do whatever you want in Breakpoint and in the prequel, which is Wildlands, in these Ghost Recon games. You can drive, you can fly, you can approach any situation how you want to. when you're going into an outpost to take down your enemy, you can mark your enemies down so that they show up. You can have your teammates take them out with drones. You can just go in guns blazing. You can go in Splinter Cell style, like the classic Splinter Cell style, and just take them out like a ghost. You know, you can definitely do that in the new ones. But the big thing is it lacks story, heavily lacks story. So it makes the game really repetitive. And like 2, they've done this before. So it's easy to implement. And I'm starting to see that trend in this one too. Like, mark your enemies, go in stealthily, or let your teammate do the work, or just go in guns blazing. I can kind of see where Ubisoft is kind of like really like excelling at being very, very mediocre. And coming from a company that has had years of like a very bad reputation, I feel like this is kind of a game, even though Star Wars to me is kind of like losing interest. It would really be a good selling point for a younger generation and like people who want to look forward to a Star Wars game. You know.
Yeah.
So
you have so much more experience with these games than I do, so I almost feel out of line. But I'm just watching a little bit of gameplay of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, and I see what you mean now with the marking the targets and going in and all that stuff. I remember a time when
Wildlands
Star
was way
Wars
better,
games,
and that was before then.
I remember a time when Star Wars games, like at first the Star Wars games were trying to like put you in the scenes from the that'd what they were doing. And then they started to break out of it with the Jedi Knight series. You had, okay, let's explore what it's like to be a Jedi. That'd be pretty cool. Or a bounty hunter in the bounty hunter game. But then they started having these games where I felt like they would just grab some other genre of game and just like give it a Star Wars skin.
Like what?
Like you had Empire at War. Yeah.
Like Empire at War was great.
You had Galactic Battlegrounds.
That was also good.
You had Bombad Racing.
Okay, I can't vouch for that one. But the
Star Wars Demolition. You had games where
But those were catered more to children though. But like around that time, you had Empire at War, Battlefront. Battlefront was really great because there were things that put you in the movies.
Yeah.
But also didn't exactly put you in the movies because like we were trying to get
1942.
Yeah, we were trying to get you out of the linear scape of the movie while allowing you to play in the movie. So like you played as a random dude in the movie, or you could be the hero if you wanted to. And
yeah, that's true.
With our hardware back then, it was very limited, but for like a kid like me, it didn't matter. And then eventually the modding community came in and like just fucking added. You went from having 16v16 matches, either online or solo, to like having like the realistic Hoth map with like a map of like 80 NPCs walking around. And like not all of them worked properly, but like
I didn't stick around long enough to see that stuff.
Bro, the modding scene was great, and it's still going on today, but like and not as strong as it used to. But I remember being 18, 19 years old when the game came out in 05, Battlefront 2 came out in 05, and they were still pumping out mods.
Yeah, I moved on, but I remember something like that happening with the Jedi Knight scene, where it's like a lot of people had just quit the game, and a whole new group of people came in, and eventually you did have mods because of Obi-Wan going to Xbox. So that's cool that happened. I should probably look some of that stuff up. 'Cause I should still have a working copy of the game somewhere. Probably
you're not gonna find a lot of the good. Like I don't even know where to find some of those really old and good mods anymore.
Like one site that had everything like disappeared a long time ago. It was like PC Game Mods. I remember that site.
Battlefront was where I used to get my Battlefront mods, and I guess it's still kind of there, but like a lot of the mods that you'll see today are like mods that are catering to like the newer stuff.
Yeah.
But you might.
Yeah, I love mods for games. And I mean, people used to make fun of us because, like, whenever a new Star Wars game would come out, would be like, well, can you mod it? It's like, well, first of all, it has to be a good game that people actually want to mod. But yeah, it's just like, we just remember how cool it was to just be able to come back and, oh, somebody made something really awesome, or
and like,
here's an idea.
Before Jedi Academy. Jedi Academy was great. Knights of Force was a loved and hated mod at the same time. It started off in Jedi Outcast at first, and then it was moved over to Jedi Academy, and all the way up to 2012.
Movie battles too, that people love, or movie duels. You don't know which person you're talking to.
And I mean, having games that like don't exactly follow the movies isn't bad.
No, I'm great with that. I think stuff that's new that can remind you of the movie or go beyond the movie is fine.
I feel like the game here is going to be very, very bland because it's not only giving you, because like I don't mind I don't mind a strong female role. Like I said, Tomb Raider is a great example, right? Especially the current ones. The current ones are really good. Like the remakes, all the way back to the first remake, which was like back when I was working at GameStop. That was like what, 20?
Yeah, I don't get
2013.
Like people like saying that fans aren't ready for female protagonists.
We'll get there. We'll get there. Hold on. We'll get there. But the big thing is that what I'm saying is, like, based on what I've seen here so far, the game still needs work. And
I can forgive the hair helmet. The hair helmet.
That's not it. That's just a different hairstyle that, like, I feel has been popularized and incorporated into Star Wars.
Look at Linda Hamilton in the first Terminator.
The difference I'm seeing here is the lady walks in the game like she has a stick over her butt, and a lot of the animation seems stiff.
Some game
the frame rate
have apparently had sticks up their butt for years.
Maybe
that's what I've heard.
But a lot of the animations look a bit stiff, and they have, like, this game comes out in a little over a month. The release date right now, from what I can tell. Let me make sure this is correct, right? Yeah, August 30th of this year. So, and it's supposed to come out on PC, PS5, Xbox Series X, and Series S. It has 2 developers, with Ubisoft being at the helm as a publisher. So, I feel that. I don't even know what massive entertainment is. I don't know what they're known for. They've been owned by Ubisoft since 2008. Oh, they're known for The Division. So that's why you're kind of seeing that tag and bag sort of system.
Ground control.
And The Division 2, yeah. So a lot of shooters.
Oh, they worked on Assassin's Creed as well.
Yeah, so I don't know, but the big thing is I feel like it might need some extra time to cook. Now, with games always being delayed, and right now with it being a little over a month left, announcing a delay now might be an issue. So we don't know if they're getting crunch time now. We don't know what's going on. But I don't know. It's also been on the Game Award list for most anticipated game, so they've got a lot to hold up on. And just from what I can tell, some people might just be looking forward to it. I mean, it looks nice, it looks decent. But like I said, showing off Tatooine. They skipped some of the chase sequences. There was like what looked to be about a chase sequence. Like she saw the enemy guy and he hopped on a speeder. They were going to chase him. And then they skipped to the end part. And I don't know if that was with time, but to me that shows kind of like a red flag. like, oh shit, you know, we can't show this because it looked like there might have been performance issues here. Because as soon as she got into combat with multiple enemies and she was rapid firing, the frame rate just tanked. And like I said, I'll even make sure when I get off here, or actually, you know what? I will show that here right now, and see if that's just me.
Oh, I'm just looking at the voice actor that plays the main protagonist.
I'm just gonna double check here and make sure that was me. If it wasn't just me, or because like I said, it happened a couple times here, but like there were times it just tanked in this fight scene here. But like around here when she was just going nuts after she shot the explosive barrel, like. Yeah, no, that wasn't me. Like, right as she turned, there was a really nasty frame drop. And, like I said, I noticed those things. Some people won't. But, you know, with releases like Cyberpunk being as bad as it was, and, you know, some other big releases kind of, like, getting the shaft at the release date, a lot of developers and publishers have the kind of mentality of, you know, release it now, fix it later. And Ubisoft has a big tendency of eating developers whole if they don't perform to, you know, spec. So, you know, the whole we'll fix it later mentality doesn't work for the developer, because the developer doesn't sell copies or meet expectations. They get fucking crushed in this case. So, yeah, and like I said, her like I said, just looking at it, there are just some things in this that look bland and stuff like that. So, like I said, the character overall doesn't look bad. I don't think. And as a smuggler, I think she looks like an interesting character. I just feel like, due to time constraints and stuff, I really hope the story brings out more of her character, because if not, you're going to be playing a very dull, stiff character.
There's this site is just like totally smashing this game, like based on, well, just saying, oh, the voice actor's hot and she plays this manly character. Of course, they show like the worst picture.
Yeah, and other people noticed it kind of too, like her shooting the blaster and then the enemy still showing the question mark. And he's like, shoots a blaster multiple times and the enemy dies while screaming, other enemies, is someone there?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I laugh at moments like that in the game, but at the same time, you're just like, you forgive it if it's a good game, but you're going to be pissed if it's like just a house of cards falling apart.
Yeah, like, and people are noticing the frame drops too, and the San Andreas like explosions. Yeah, it's
I haven't played San Andreas. What were the explosions like in that one? Good, bad, or they're just saying it's? Well, that was an old game, right? Are they saying they look dated?
Yeah. They said there's a gameplay demo for this, but I don't think it's available on PC. So, but like I said, a lot of people are really bashing this for it being an open galaxy type of game. So
similar to Dr. Aphra.
Because they really haven't showcased much, and for the like literally almost a month of time left, it's really scary for them, like, because they're announcing it as an open galaxy setting, right?
See, I didn't know who this character was. Dr. Aphra is another Star Wars character.
Yeah, I don't know, and frankly, it's not, to me, it doesn't pique my interest, at least not yet.
Goggles. And she had like a Han Solo. Well, yeah, I guess I do see some resemblance.
And then if you're looking here in this picture, this is
Like
huge.
we-
So, like, this is why I'm thinking they're showing the Tatooine aspect, because it looks bigger, and it, like, so, I don't know. Like, it just seems like it might be more, I don't know, like performance might be easier on performance, because it's Tatooine. You know, it's just desert. No lush jungles or anything. So,
Tatooine is sparsely populated.
yeah, that's just my opinion on it. But like I said, this game has like a little over a month left, and that's what they showed for their final gameplay trailer and gameplay demo. So if they're expecting devs to like patch up
Pre-order now.
any planets that are supposed to be populated or more, then we're going to be in for it. So, or if the game is just all empty planets, then it's going to be even worse.
World, but I want to go to Coruscant and have my pocket picked while I'm trying to meet some crime boss.
Yeah, I don't think we're going to see Coruscant, buddy.
Walk into a bar and I'm going to hear Jabba the Hutt, like, you know, doing stand up. Remember that scene in episode 2, like they're walking in looking for the spy, and you hear like this, like, sounds like Jabba the Hutt making jokes, and like people are laughing, and you're like, oh, we're gonna see him, and then nope, you never saw him.
Oh,
that would have been great.
Yeah, I'm trying to get some real quick. I'm trying to see if there's any more info on this.
So they're still dealing with technological limitations.
Well, I don't see that. That's it. I don't know. They haven't really released too much on it. So, but it says open world environment on planets and in space while engaging in various activities. Let's see if they have announced what other planets it's going to be. So, and this is just based on what I can look up here. Of course, the character's name is K-Vess. You'll be traversing an open world environment on planets in space while engaging in various activities. Combat combines melee attacks, use of a blaster, several firing modes, including electromagnetic pulse. Oh, I wonder who got that before. K can utilize environmental objects, blah, blah, blah. Stealth. You get a grappling hook.
By Outcast. Hold down secondary fire.
I was thinking more like dash run target because he had a pulse option.
He had it first, yeah.
Player traverses planetary surfaces on a speeder bike and goes on a starship called the Trailblazer. Player can also explore the orbits of planets and moons. And I haven't acknowledged Bohemius, but just to know that I have read your messages there. You did mention Disney Infinity was great. I did play that, and I also agreed that it was fun with kids. But let's see, player can earn credits to be used to purchase customization items and gear. They can also upgrade abilities, blaster, speeder, and trailblazer. So you'll encounter 4 syndicates. Of course, you'll be Ashika Clan, Crimson Dawn, Hutt Cartel, Pike Syndicate, blah blah blah. Which is all. Some of these are Disney inventions.
Yeah, no Black Sun.
No, I think they got eaten up by Crimson Dawn earlier on in the series now. So if I remember right, I can't remember if that's true, but I think that's what happened. But I think that's all they have. Development was started, I think, around 2018, if I remember correctly. What this said is true. So, yeah, they don't say where you'll be going. So, that's what bothers me the most. It doesn't say where you're going to be going. But it just says like you can go between planets, moons, other orbits. So it's very, very, very how do you say, ambitious. So, which worries me. unless they really have been keeping it on the down low, and they're not going to show very much of it. That would surprise the shit out of me. It wouldn't
like Battlefront 3.
It wouldn't bring me in Ubisoft's great graces, like the First Jedi Survivor didn't do that with EA, but it did let me play their games again, kind of, like some of their stuff. And then Survivor came out, and then I was like, yeah, fuck that. But I still haven't beaten that game all the way.
Well, I don't blame you.
But I did get farther. I was just slowly chipping at it. Which brings me to our next topic of Star Wars discussion.
Oh man.
Let's So I was listening to, because every once in a while I'll revisit. If you guys in chat know who Star Wars Theory is, he's a guy I used to like listening to every once in a while, but now he's kind of just Twitter drumming it up, and like respectfully, right? I'm gonna say that because he's a nice guy. He's just kind of, I think he's kind of pulling for the content now, because it's his job. But
he cried when Luke Skywalker came back to the Mandalorian.
I'd see it now. I don't know if that's legit. He says it's legit.
Feelings aren't for sharing.
But I think now he's kind of just pulling for content. So
you don't think his heart's in it anymore? He's just doing
no.
it
I think his heart's in it. It's just the fact that like everything on he's pulling the Twitter drama a lot now. So like everything he does now is kind of like a Twitter drama.
Yeah. We talked about this a little bit before.
He's not hated or anything. He's just, he just kind of, he doesn't make any like traditional announcements on Twitter anymore. It's just like, oh, this person's dogging me or dogging this because of this, and but he mentioned how bad the acolyte was, and so bad that he pretty much missed Rian Johnson.
Dang.
So
slug to the gut.
Yeah.
I mean, I said welcome home, Jar Jar Binks, all is forgiven when we were talking about the last two Star Wars movies. Well, many Star Wars movies since, but yeah, wow. I miss Rian Johnson.
I guess as a 6 months.
Now, if you heard me say that, you'd be like, dang. So Star Wars Theory. So did he not like The Last Jedi?
I think he just disagreed with a lot on it. He's doing like a lot of fan movies right now. Like he did the Vader. He's really well known for that Vader fan film that was really well done. He's done an episode 2, I believe, on it, and he's doing like a Luke Skywalker project, which I guess.
So he makes fan films.
Which I guess used AI, and I guess somebody tweeted out to Mark Hamill, was like, "Hey, did you have your permission?" And Hamill's like, "No," and I don't know if like if Hamill didn't like it or not, but whatever.
Does Mark Hamill own the Star Wars Luke Skywalker character?
I'm pretty sure it's his likeness.
Oh, his face.
And since Theory technically gets money for stuff like this, but like I said, I have to read up on that. This is just a headline that I grabbed from him, but
okay, I can see why that could be a problem. Yeah.
So him and also Leslie Headland, who is the creator of The Acolyte, also got into there was like an interview thing that he did where they were kind of like butting heads, and she like called him a bunch of weird names, and he was just like, whatever. And then they started having like a Twitter fight. So
I guess feelings are for sure now.
I don't want to show off his thing too much, but trying to see if I can.
Nobody wants Johnson but Kennedy.
Trying to find the spoilers for The Acolyte for anybody who really does give a shit. But he said that, but he was just stupid line to say. I think, yeah, Yeah, I don't think. You said I have echo, sound echo. It's this room. I haven't completely soundproofed it yet. I've got some soundproofing up here, some in the back, but I think it's because like I'm too far away from my mic.
Yeah, anymore.
Let me.
It worked with the old room, but now.
I think if I lower my, well, let me try to lower my my gain a bit. Let's see if that helps. See if I. Okay, I'm lowering my gain because I think my gain was up too high. Is that better?
Does Kathleen Kennedy know where all the bodies are buried, or what?
Yeah, sure. We'll go with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think I was speaking a little louder, and my mic is a lot closer. So
if I suddenly disappear, it's because no, just joking. Or am I? I don't know. That's just what I've heard. Nobody knows. Nobody really knows.
Let me go ahead and.
All right, guys. So the new.
No, I don't.
If they do, they're not talking.
Breaking news in
why does it
Star.
always have to be like stupid? Just show the fucking stupid.
So the acolyte made him miss Rian Johnson. Wow.
Yeah.
It's just because Rian Johnson got into it with people online too.
So this is about as close
So
as I
he's
can.
saying that like
Okay,
Johnson was like nicer than Leslie. I don't know. I'm laughing because I'm not part of it anymore. I don't hear your voice anymore. Are we missing sound? Oh, your voice is back, but we must have got audio jungled for the clip. There's no sound. So what's Voldemort doing in Star Wars? Hey, he's back.
It is Voldemort, isn't it?
Yep. Just see the
You missed too much.
light
Just
leave your eyes,
fucking around,
Harry
you know?
Potter. Yeah, because the 2 cameos the last episode. Hi guys, been fighting with my PC the last hour trying to get connected. Yeah. Well, Joe, that a lot of times when I'm trying to start a stream, that's what I feel like.
Test.
Joining a stream, easy. Starting a stream, not so easy. The 2 cameos the last episode.
Broadcast is being stupid.
Yeah. See, I have not seen the acolyte, so I'm just going by what other people have said. I've seen clips of stuff. I mean, out of context, of course. But it looks like a lot of weird stuff. And people are just ripping it to shreds. But see, like if you make a product and your audience doesn't like it, like you can rip on some critic and blame him for it, but like your product still is missing the mark, right? But would you say there are people that really like the acolyte and are watching it and supporting it?
Hey, does that sound better? For some reason, it was like it pulled my video capture device. That's why I'm having trouble with broadcast.
Or does that sometimes? It's weird.
Well, it for some reason it just created a new audio line in Streamlabs. It was like, here's your video capture device. So it was like grabbing my webcam audio. So that's why I had an echo. I'm going to have crappy audio for now because I have to restart broadcast in order for any of this stuff to work now. Because it was like, your camera resolution changed. I was like, it did? No, it didn't.
From everything I've seen and heard, you couldn't pay me enough to watch the acolyte.
I pretty much just got the cliff notes. I said last stream I was going to try to watch it, and then every time an episode came on, somebody watched it, they just talked about how shit it was. And like literally how bad it was. And there are some people who are still vouching for it, like legit still vouching for it. Oh wait, broadcast came back on. What the fuck is going on with my stuff?
I mean, I guess if you like something in a show
Hello?
and other people don't, and it's like they keep doing the thing that everyone else hates, but you like it, so I guess you just keep liking it and they keep hating it. But I I just used to be so excited for Star Wars, and I was so excited when new Star Wars would come out. Like I would always give it the benefit of the doubt, but those days are long, long gone.
I mean,
they came back for a while with the prequels.
I'm not like super. I'm not super.
But I would like to be pleasantly surprised.
I'm not super off about it. I just know that like I kind of.
When The Mandalorian started, people were like, "No, you don't understand. You know this is a new."
No, because The Mandalorian was good at one point. For a good section of that time, it was decent. And like I said, that happens with TV sometimes. So I'm not even gonna blame like Jon Favreau or Dave Filoni because they were fucking overworked. And I mentioned that on the last couple of podcasts that we did like way back when. Like they were doing 7 different shows at the time.
Yeah. Well, TV shows are so short now. They're like 8 episodes a season.
Well,
but
not
then,
just that, but they were doing
companies
streaming, so they were doing all the syndication at once, or all the episodes at once. Like,
the people are binging it, and they're making multiple shows at a time. So it's like instead of focusing on like one show and having quality for that, you're like spread out all over the place.
And it's like I said before,
and hit every demographic.
Like I said before, Star Wars is what you make it, right? I don't look forward to a lot of Disney stuff. There is some that I do. Like I said, Andor's planning to do another season. I'm looking forward to that. I don't have like both feet in the bag because you never know. But the guy who did that series, let me make sure I got his name right. Because you never know. I'm horrible at that. I think it's Tony Gilroy. Who's one of the writers? Yeah, so you've got. But is he the one producing it? Man, why is it such a fucking like challenge to look up stuff anymore? It's just so. Maybe I'm just getting older. I don't know. Yeah, it's Tony Gilroy. So like he did Star Wars more and an adult kind of light, and like I said, I also kind of think that that's kind of what it has too, but like in the case of the Acolyte, from what I've seen, right? From what I've seen and from what I've heard, because I had people break down the story to me. Now I can't give a full opinion because I haven't watched it personally. This is what word of mouth does. Because when a bunch of people have already talked about it and say, no, it's either not that good or it's not that appealing, or like the fucking stupid lines like that, like the power of many, like the really ridiculous shit.
Man,
or like the villains.
So much fun of that. It's like I feel like I've lived through it. But
the villains like arc and stuff. The stuff like that, it just doesn't appeal to me. Like I'm looking at it and I'm saying, well, I'm just not interested. Like I will watch it one time when I literally have nothing else to do. And in my life, I always have something else better to do. Now, let me tell you probably why you guys have no fucking interest in that show, and it's not just because Disney sucks. One, Disney has a lot of fuck you money. They don't give a fuck whether or not the show. They're probably doing a second season, according to like what's going on. The show's creator, which is once again Leslie Headland, who literally took to Twitter to fucking fight with Theory of all people. She is known for 2012's Bachelorette, 2015's Sleeping with Other People, 2014's About Last Night, and the show from 2019 to 2022's Russian Doll. She was the showrunner for that one. She was the producer and writer for the other 3. Please.
These all sound like
please
rom-com.
Tell me. Well, maybe, but please tell me. And they all did mildly horrible. Like I think they were anywhere from 5 to 7 stars.
This is her big
so,
break.
I mean, now, I'm not saying all of her stuff sucked, but she does not have a very good resume, man. Like, from 2012 to now, all of her stuff lands anywhere between 5.3 and 7 stars. Now, this, once again, this is IMDb. Take this with a grain of salt. Why am I getting lines from the room now?
Just thinking of terrible.
Mock, tell me about your
You're tearing me apart, Kathleen. Oh, hi, Mark Hamill. You're funny, Mark.
Like some of her stuff in which she was a co-producer or an executive producer got like 2 stars. Like, it was awful. So she also has stated that, like, her opinions, how she felt between Darth Vader and Padme, where they were I don't know, she gave like some weird stupid opinion about like how the emotion between the two was they were truly in love, and it was something about an act of passion was why he turned into Vader and stuff like that. And
he was seduced by the dark side.
Theory snapped back and said, well, no, on the baseline he loved her, yes, and what most people will see is it was a baseline, and I agree with him on this. He says, like, you know, maybe to him, once again, and to everybody else, the baseline was, yes, he loved her, yes, he did, right? Mm-hmm. But it was also his greed that killed her, because at the end of the day, he wouldn't let anybody stronger than him, or he wouldn't let anybody stand in his way of getting that power to stop people from dying or to create life, or, you know, he was promised that stuff, so he wanted to do that, and he would have, in his thoughts, he would have if the Jedi didn't get in his way and didn't step him down, and had those dogmatic views, which in some cases were true. You know, like the Jedi were holding him back in certain ways, but like, you know, he was also very conceited. He had those thoughts at one point in time, and it did. That's why I said the Clone Wars series does kind of spread his character arc out a lot, because it makes him. It doesn't, like in episode 2 and episode 3. It doesn't just make him like go full bar. Like there's a very huge gap, and it kind of helps him build that grown up experience. But at the same time, you know, like I said, he was told by his mentor that there were things that he could do, and he believed in them. And there was just one event that like kept it from happening, and now he's trying to pursue that with somebody else, and he pretty much just got lost in it, and eventually it just took him. So. But now also, Kurgan, keep in mind while you're saying that stuff, that like that's another reason the acolyte kind of shoots itself in the foot too, because they make the Jedi out to be a huge conspiracy, like, or a bunch of conspirators, and
for the CIA.
Yeah, even worse, but yes, I think that
Jedi Pinkertons.
That they kill their own kind in droves and cover shit up like it's going out of style. And this is just me personally. I have a huge problem with that.
Yeah.
The battle of good versus evil should always be there in Star Wars. And that's just me, right? This isn't me hating on Headland's project here. This isn't me hating on the acolyte. This is me just disagreeing with it personally. I think that what helped make Star Wars a good thing for all ages is that it is truly something that's an escapist entertainment. When you bring true grit drama and like human evil into something like that, the fantasy aspects start to dwindle, and there's blurred lines and stuff. Andor did it kind of, but it also kept that battle between good and evil there. Just enough to where you can enjoy it.
Yeah, you don't
like
see the
Cassian
full
Cassian
effect
kills
of the
people, and
Death Star like blowing up a planet. It just
it's not that. It's the fact that like his character, he's supposed to be a part of the rebellion, right? But during the toughest parts of the rebellion, they were hurting innocent people, or like they were gathering people, and those people sometimes would chicken shit out and go to the Empire, and they would have to kill them if they had no other choice, or he would have to, because he couldn't save everybody, like he would have to double agent or do something, you know. So like, but with the Jedi, like that wasn't the case. You know, they like, yes, I could see some Jedi being corrupt. Like there was a Clone Wars episode where there was just a corrupt Jedi who would abuse clone troopers and stuff. Like that makes sense. But like you had it's a group of some of the toughest Jedi. One that I didn't think was old enough, because I didn't think Ki-Adi-Mundi would even be in that time period. And two, I think they did something with Yoda in the last episode, and I can't remember what I was told, and I don't even know if it happened. But once again, there is a Jedi that just keeps covering shit up in that whole series, and it is like it just makes it out to be bad. And then they come out.
The Jedi were corrupt, already completely corrupt 100 years before the prequels, and so
yeah, and like not to
how come the Sith didn't take over then, or they had a glorious revolution and they purified the Order and it was great, and then they fell again. Like
and
what?
Not to mention you already had your Sith Lord come back, and they were talking about that too.
Fall apart very quickly if.
So and that's what I'm saying. This is Disney. There was another video that I should have sent to you that they were talking about how there's a guy who talks about how like Disney's kind of crumbling apart as far as their content. They kind of don't care because they have their bangers right now. So they're kind of just like, you know, they really are aiming for a younger demographic. Because there are people who are like, hey, I'm enjoying this because, you know, I'm enjoying it because, you know, I watched this because I enjoyed stuff with Anakin, and I enjoyed stuff with these characters in it, and this brings me back to that stuff. It's a nostalgia hit. And, you know, this is... It doesn't bother me when stuff like this happens because it's something new, and you know, I wish that I was that young to where shit didn't bother me like that anymore, but that just shows how little taste that you personally have when you're at that age, because it's not you not having a problem with something, it's you literally the only thing you have to relate to that is, you know, oh, I watched the prequels when I was younger and they make me happy. So, you know, it's
nostalgia's a hell of a drug, but
and like yes, that stuff made us happy, but we built a universe on these things, and that's another offensive thing they say when there was backlash, and not hateful backlash. Like people were honestly upset about this show. Yes, you had your haters. Yes, because Star Wars does have a huge amount of like hateful people unnecessarily, and those people can go fuck off. Like the really nasty people, like, you know, you have your bigots, you have people who are like, there shouldn't be this many female characters, or like, you know, and no offense to anybody here, but like, that's not what I'm about. Right. The big thing here is the fact that we honestly had an opinion about these shows. It's the fact their quality was dwindling. And then we were told by, I believe, both the showrunner and Kennedy both at one point in time, I don't know if it's the same time, but at one point in time, that the big reason these shows are, and I think it's just to kind of help keep Kennedy from being replaced and to keep these shows running because it's their pet projects, is that the reason they're getting so much hate right now is because Star Wars fans have a lot of toxic male culture.
Sure, that's the reason.
So we just keep pumping out these strong female characters and these shows with the affirmative political features, and eventually that will go away. No, it won't.
They're so dumb. They think that.
Do you know what that's called? That's manipulation. That's forceful manipulation. That goes against everything we stand for here as a country. One, because you can't indoctrinate people to stop liking something. And two, you're trying to fuck with one of the biggest franchises in history.
Yeah.
So
it's like, congratulations, you'll alienate your audience, and then you've won. What did you win?
And there were some people who were still blaming George about it because he sold the thing, and to be honest, I don't blame him, because if you're old enough, you'll realize people in my generation lambasted him. I even did it, because at one point in time he was the guy you yelled at for fucking shit up.
Yeah.
So
he put himself as the face of the franchise. So yeah, I mean, the buck stopped with him. And he some of that criticism, he didn't deserve. I think I even apologized to the ghost of George Lucas in a sense. At one point, I'm just like, maybe I
catch up
gave him
here.
too much.
But there else comes in the show, and they don't act like knights.
He did sell it to Disney. You could say, well, he should have known what was going to happen.
I like how that they're exploring stories in the universe, but not when they destroy what's already established. No, I agree with that.
Given it to Steven Spielberg.
Yeah. I think, to be honest,
would have given it to J.J. Abrams, and then boom, then you're back to where you were.
I think, to be honest, if Lucas wanted to be done with it, he should have either been done with it or done the sequels himself, and then after that, allowed people to buy sections or I guess shares of the series or whatever, however that works. I don't know how the property or rights would have had been handled, so that they could invest in making the expanded universe, like they were doing beforehand. You want to make a game, TV show, movie, whatever, do that. Because it would have been oversaturated, but it wouldn't have been this nonsense. And you could have chose to watch the movie or play the game or read the book or comic or whatever. Now we've got comics of Vader bleeding crystals when he turned to the dark side, which whatever, it's not super bad, but to me that's the most ridiculous thing that they decided to fucking change. Lightsabers can be red whether you're good or bad. It's just the big trope, right? The lightsaber's naturally red with the bad guy. It's the good versus evil thing. Mm-hmm. And it's really fucking awkward. And like I said, it's really offensive when a creator backpedals and says that, oh no, it's not our fault. It's your fault because you guys are toxic.
Yeah.
I have never once said that the show sucks because it has anything to do with the character's gender or race or
sexuality, politics.
anything like that.
Whatever.
I think the worst I've ever said something that close is I think sometimes maybe certain shows force their political agenda in there sometimes. But I don't think Star Wars has done that.
Club you over the head with it.
Well, yeah. Sometimes they do that, and then
Star Trek did that.
It doesn't fit. It's not it's it's kind of forced in there. It doesn't seem like it's seamless.
Let me just say this. Star Trek did that at times during the TNG era, but there were so many good Star Trek episodes, you could kind of brush those ones off, I felt like. But when the excuse is, oh, well, you must be just a hateful bigot, you must be just a toxic fan. It's just such an empty excuse.
I agree, Joe. It would have, Like those were good. They were good books. They were good. It was a good video game, and Tales from Jabba's Palace would have been good. Yeah, I just like I said, I think these
Always been
Kathleen
strong
Kennedy
female
projects
characters in
are just bad.
Star Wars. Yeah,
because I think
you
that's
can't
what.
hide behind that excuse.
Well, she
Kathleen
can.
Kennedy.
She has.
You try. Well, some people, maybe there's people out there that believe it too. Like, yep.
I mean, yeah,
I
a
saw-
lot of
I saw
younger.
one- I saw one guy on the internet that said that, so therefore it's true.
I mean, a lot of younger people have.
You've heard.
The fact that it's got an 80% on Rotten Tomatoes says something. So.
Well. Okay, let's
But.
look at that. So, that's 80%. 229 reviewers gave it 3.5 or higher. That's what that means.
It got review bombed for a long time.
But the audience score is 16%. So over 25,000 people gave it less than 3.
Which means that I don't know how this got. How did they get that? Oh yeah. So it's probably it's probably like critics then, right?
Well, so the critic score are critics. The audience score is audience.
That's what it is.
And Rotten Tomatoes has messed around with their numbers before. They've frozen ratings.
Yeah.
The whole review bombing thing, and lots of people pointed this out, is you can say that and say, yeah, a bunch of people got together and said, hey, let's all give this 1 star. Yeah. But it's like, what's stopping people from saying, oh, yeah, let's get together and all give it like 5 stars? Yeah. So it's like,
I mean, like I said before,
it doesn't explain away everything. And it's like, well, how come every show doesn't just automatically have
I get it,
terrible?
but like the proof is in the pudding, and you can tell everywhere else that it just sucks. So it's got a 3.8 out of 10 on a lot of other places. So
its greatest strength is its Star Wars, and its greatest weakness is that it's Star Wars.
No, that it's made by awful people.
Not enough people would care about it if it wasn't Star Wars. But the fact that it is Star Wars means that it's going to get everything that's coming to it.
Well, I think
if it was Rebel Moon, people would just feel like, eh.
No, because Rebel Moon got fucking attacked. That was that Zack Snyder movie, wasn't it?
Zack Snyder, yeah. And it was originally going to be a Star Wars thing. It was based on The Seventh Samurai.
I was about to say that got fucking like completely shit on.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this was.
But imagine if it had been officially Star Wars.
Yeah, I don't.
You would have had people that would have felt obligated to protect it and defend it, and then you would have had people that would just absolutely rage against it because they were so disappointed.
No, like I said before, the only reason I empathize is because I've been there at one point in time in my age, and I think that
I was a fanboy at one time.
No, yes, but you were a fanboy back when that shit was actually good.
Worth being a fanboy.
Like the only time people were bombing it was during the prequel time, and like once again,
I was pretty forgiving towards the prequels.
I can say for a fact that there are certain things I can defend, and there are certain things I can't. And people defending this, yes, I don't completely understand it, but at the same time, if you're like maybe a certain age and you are literally watching this, like I said, it's like fast food. It tastes a lot better when you're younger, and you, like I said, to me nowadays, a lot of that stuff I can eat it, but like
I'm gonna pay for it later.
Yeah, it's not the same.
It's not nourished.
You can't go out and eat like cheap takeout at 3 a.m. anymore. It's, and that's what I'm saying. That's what I compare this to. Your quality of your movie making represents you, but nowadays they don't have to do that anymore. They can just make fucking slop. So, and this is a Kathleen Kennedy thing slop as well. So. She was one of the executive producers, so it's just awful. It's At least from what I've been told. I can't.
Well, the other conspiracy theory was that Lucas was tired of people like, ripping his beloved prequels apart, and so he was like, okay, fine, see how you like it. So he deliberately
No,
gave
because
it to
if I
these
remember right, he
incompetent
talked to
idiots.
Bob Iger about making the sequels with his stuff in mind, and like according to Iger in an interview, like back in 2017, he
They just threw it
stated,
in the trash.
yeah, he stated that he told Lucas one of the deals that he made to sign that, which by the way, I think Star Wars sold for like $5 or $6 billion, and they have acquired other companies for a lot more.
4 billion.
Yeah, so like
It was
to
like
me that seems like
4.7
it seems
billion.
like he like lowballed the shit out of Lucas for that, because like
You're getting a little garbled there. You're in your garble. At least on Discord.
I'm not dropping frames here, buddy, and I'm showing that I'm all right.
Okay. Let me check you on the Twitch.
Because yeah, you're sounding the same over here.
I am Echo. I am Robot.
Are we all right over there, chat? But yeah, anyway, to me it was.
Oh yeah, we sound perfect on Twitch. We just sound like robots on Discord.
It to me it just seemed like he got lowballed, and like at the time he told them that they were planning on considering using they would use at least the ideas and stuff, and then they just completely abandoned a lot of it. So, and there wasn't much he could have done after that. But like to me, I think they're getting their just desserts, because like I said, eventually this isn't going to be as popular as it was. It's going to tire out. I mean, it'll always make them money, but and that's what I think Disney doesn't care, as long as it makes them money.
The Acolyte. Oh wow. So Rebel Moon is worse than the Power of One, the Power of Two, and the Power of Many.
I haven't seen any of them, so I can't attest to that. But
there were two of them. Well, my impression was it was just a sci-fi remake of the Seven Samurai, and make it a sci-fi story didn't make any sense, because certain things in the original story were about like scarcity of like crops, and it's like, if you had a galactic empire, what kind of sense would that make? I mean, in Dune it makes sense, because it's like, okay, it's this exotic thing that's from one planet, but like food, like you can grow food anywhere. It's kind of like Infinity War. It's like, oh, there's a population shortage, I got to kill everyone. It's like, what are you talking about? You live in a universe, you can like go anywhere. You just move to another planet. But okay, he's a crazy guy, so he just does that.
Indeed.
You can explain it away, but if you don't do a good job explaining it, people aren't gonna buy it. Well, I mean, you can have flimsy plots in movies. If the movie is really good, otherwise you can forgive the shortcomings in those areas. But if it's not, then yeah, you're gonna get all the hate that's coming to you. Yeah, I haven't seen Rebel Moon. Yeah. Well, there's definitely parts of the Star Wars story that feel largely unexplored on the screen. And maybe that's a good thing, but if they were looking for material, I mean, you could look at it this way. Kathleen Kennedy and company would probably just have ruined those things too. And then we'd be complaining about those now. Instead of, oh, they ruined the Jedi. They ruined the Empire. They ruined the Rebel Alliance.
I mean, I think she's just cashing shit out, and I really think she has a thing where.
Oh, they reenacted Julius Caesar?
She does have a vision to some people want to diversify, and they have their own vision for what they want their Star Wars projects to look like, and I think that's why she's picking some of these people to do the writing and stuff. Is she's finding people who have done more diverse projects, or stuff that she thinks has built more, like, I don't know, female leaders or whatever. But
yeah,
the big thing
never had that before.
I mean, no, I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is, like, if you're looking at it this way, is people who just want money, they'll just throw whatever they want into the grinder. For me, it's like there are writers here, there are people that have put in their work. The thing is that the writers might have a different view from Headland's full view, or and that's what I'm saying is like we don't know how much of a hand Kennedy has in it as well. So I think that's why she probably picked the showrunner, to get that done. So she would have an easier time working with somebody like that. And I'm not saying that because it's a woman. I'm saying it's because maybe they have the same view on like what they want in the show. So the prequels ruined the Jedi for me. I feel like the prequels were unnecessary. I disagree with you on that one, Joe, but I also kind of agree with you on it at the same time. I feel that with the prequels and the expansion of the expanded universe, because there was an expanded universe before then, I feel that we had kind of a bigger and broader view on every side and every part of the Star Wars saga, whether it be the Galactic Civil War or the Clone Wars or the Old Republic. But, I mean, to me that was... I mean, they could have always improved on it, but I think they did just fine as far as it goes. I think the movies themselves were a little bit lackluster in like a lot of places. And that's why I said there are supercuts of those movies that help a lot. Like, as far as, from helping with the romance scenes between Anakin and Padme to helping you work through parts of episode 1. So, I mean, that's my opinion on it. So, I feel like they lost their way and forgot what the end game was supposed to be. So,
yeah.
Question.
Well, Pablo Hidalgo's whole job was to smooth out all these canon inconsistencies. They were created by the fact that George Lucas didn't want to just tell the story that he'd always been talking about. He wanted to tell a new story and changed his mind. So, and fans are like, well, how come this doesn't match up with this? And so they did all this stuff, and it was almost like a game. Like, I didn't know this, but Arthur Conan Doyle's Sherlock Holmes novels, like, there's a whole fandom of Sherlock Holmes devoted to like reconstructing the backstory of like Sherlock Holmes's like early life, because the stuff that you get in the books is like contradictory. So like they've come up with like ways to like harmonize it, and it's like this whole like interesting thing. But that's the devotion of fans. Like, they like the stuff so much that they're willing to come up with ways for it to work. But if it's not working, then you have no desire. So I like the prequels enough that I could just either accept those explanations or not even bother with them and just say, okay, fine, episode 1, 2, and 3 is one story, 4, 5, and 6 is another story. If you try to blend them together, it's like they're supposed to match, but you just can't think about it too hard because it doesn't quite make sense. It's like everybody's either lying or forgetful or something. It doesn't quite work.
So, Joe, question for you on that. What was the end game supposed to be? Like, can you explain that one for me? Like, I'm just curious.
So he's talking about he didn't like the way the backstory of the Jedi was handled in the prequels.
Yeah, so I get that. What he said was like, yeah, he felt like they lost their way and forgot what the end game was supposed to be. So I'm asking him to elaborate on it, and that's because here, that's what we do here on this podcast, is we get people in the chat to interact, and I would like, not sure I can put it in words. Well, I don't know, man. You can simplify it.
Yeah. we're not calling you out saying like, oh, you're wrong.
I'm engaging in conversation. And no matter what your answer is, man, you're not wrong in this case. Like, I'm just curious, right? Because I want to know what that exactly is. I want to know where it's coming from your mind, because I don't know what the end game was in there.
I definitely pictured the Jedi very differently. I thought that I didn't think that they'd be wearing like desert robes and like be this celibate order that was like advising the Chancellor. Like, I didn't see it that way. And there was no indication from Lucas's early stuff that that's what it was. But what exactly it was, I don't know. So I guess it could have been a lot of things.
Because to me, that's how they were. That's how they were portrayed. Like, to me, when I was younger,
like they were the expected thing.
They were protectors. They were just like, they were knights. So you were trained to be the warrior, and that's
knights. I mean, what do knights do? Well, in the Arthurian tales, like, they go out and they go on adventures. They save damsels in distress. They protect the weak. But of course, you always have bad knights too. Guys who are just in it for, might makes right. Take what I want.
The show looks like they filmed it at Kevin Smith's Quick Stop.
So the knights would have to fight each other. They'd have to fight each other, and they would have to govern their like violent impulses. These guys just want fame and glory. It's like, okay, well, direct your strength in the right way. Protect the poor and the weak, and don't abuse your power. So I mean, that could have been interesting. That could have been an interesting way to do it. Or because, I mean, historians will say like, okay, the knight in shining armor is kind of a myth. I mean, a lot of those guys were scum. Same with the samurai. They weren't all like wonderful, noble guys. There were definitely a lot of people that were bad too.
Joe says the whole whiny Anakin that becomes the ultimate badass. How Obi-Wan has all these interactions with the droids, but doesn't remember them.
Oh yeah.
So
Anakin was a good friend. No, he wasn't. He was always on your nerves, like pissing you off.
He wasn't always on his nerves. They actually had good times together. Even before the whole Disney debacle, there was books that described their adventures, and they even talked about it in episode 3 a lot.
They mention it, yeah, but it's like the stuff off screen.
And like, he didn't like piss him off a lot in 3. It was just like towards the end, they were like, it even tells him like, he was like you're a good friend, you're a brother, I care about you, stuff like that. And then even after the fight, he describes the same thing.
So old Obi-Wan is just like, he's trying to remember the good times. It's like, okay, I've got to send Luke to kill him. I wish I didn't have to do this. I really think I'll just focus on the good stuff.
That's just coming of age stuff, because Anakin was younger, maybe. So, and like I said before, I feel.
You think all the Jedi would go through that? It's just that Anakin started late.
They're taken at a super young age.
Yeah.
So maybe they're like, it's kind of like an indoctrination or like something like that. Like they're
conditioned.
Yeah, they're very conditioned.
Whereas he had a lot of power, and he had to quickly.
And he had a life before then, even though it was very rare. Like, he had a very like simple and very like sheltered life.
That was the part that bugged me. I'm like, okay, why didn't they free his mother? All this stuff. Like, it seems like they set him up for failure. And I know that in the books they tried to say no, actually. Like, Qui-Gon like gave her like some jewels that were valuable so she could have like a nice life, and it wasn't just like, oh yeah, she just married some moisture farmer and got murdered by some Tusken Raiders. That sucked.
So
like, they just left her out to dry.
From the fan theory stuff that I've looked at to like just my own personal stuff, because like this is where you start getting into like a lot of hypotheticals, right?
Mm-hmm.
To me, I think it just kind of brings a lot of coming of age parts into it, from the prequels to even the original trilogy. The whininess is the fact that both Anakin and Luke at the time between episode 2 and episode 4, they were both young. They were both, and I think how they handled their temper, or how they handled their emotions, I think were a little different. But Anakin is that guy that was mistreated so much as a child, because I'm not going to relate. I don't relate to a lot of fictional media, but coming from kind of like the same feeling. When you go through maybe a certain amount of trauma and you get older, you tell yourself, I'm not going through that again. I'm never going through that again. Even if it's something like where, let's say you lived in a dirty house for a long, long period of time, right? And as you started getting older, you're able to get out of that, right? But let's say you spent a lot of time cleaning that up, or you found a way to cope with it, and then finally you're able to get out of that environment and you're on your own and you're able to control that experience. You tell yourself, I'm not getting out of it. I'm not doing that ever again. Well, let's say the person you're with or the situation that you're experiencing gets you close to that. You get into a panic or trauma state that causes that to happen, and you say, no matter what happens, I'm never letting that happen again. I feel like that's kind of like the same kind of experience where, like, Anakin set these stipulations, like, I'm never letting this happen. I'm not, I'm going to be so powerful. I'm going to do this, and this. And then his mom died, right? Because he told his mom he'd come back for her. Well, his mom died. So, his coping with it was that he murdered people. And then he set other stipulations for himself. Well, I'm never letting that happen again. So I'm going to become powerful than anybody else, and I think it was just Lucas's way of kind of explaining the fact that, like, it's kind of the reason the Jedi didn't, want emotion, anger, all that stuff to come into play. It's kind of why they let go of a lot of that stuff. But at the same time, I don't know. I try not to think too deep into this stuff because, Luke later on taught people to cope with that. I feel like it was just kind of not being disciplined, not having discipline, not having, just being able to write your own rules. Obi-Wan was a good partner. He was a good teacher. He taught him things, and Anakin learned his own lessons. But at the end of the day, Anakin never had any other structure beside himself. So, and then eventually he got powers that made him better than a lot of other people. And he knew he was stronger than other people. He knew he was better than some of the other students. He knew that when he was training with Obi-Wan, he could match him on a level eventually. It's one of those things where, like, there wasn't somebody to put you in your place, because the Jedi don't do that. They don't knock you down and spit on you as they walk away. Like, so.
Yeah. I mean, Obi-Wan does come across as a dick to him a little bit in the prequel.
He's a stern dad. Like, and that's.
But at the same time, it's like you can also see that Anakin kind of deserves it.
But like,
he is.
like once again, it's 10 years later. How old was Anakin in episode 1? Like 7 or 8.
Yeah.
It was like 9 or something like that. He would have been like in like.
Say 9.
He would have been coming out of his teen
like
years.
In his 20s.
Yeah, he would have been still very brash, and especially coming out of being a slave. You didn't get a childhood, and you're not getting one. Yep. So like, you're still growing up, pretty much.
Hard life, yeah. But you think that, again, if you think the Jedi were around for thousands of years or just 1,000 years, I mean, how long were they crawling around before the Republic started? Who knows? But you think that they would have run into that before? Like, they find somebody who has the Force.
The chronology
and,
says
gosh, they're not a baby.
Hyperspace War, so, I mean.
Yeah. The revised chronology. But I don't know. I feel like the prequels have so many, like, interesting concepts. I feel like all the pieces are there. They're just not maybe aligned in the optimal way. So I could meet Joe halfway on that and say, yeah, it could have been a lot better. But as far as, like, losing me and saying, like, that was the end or that wasn't Star Wars, I wouldn't go that far. Or saying that I hated it. Right. I think that starting out with Anakin as a little kid and making him a slave and all that stuff, I mean, it was interesting. It was an interesting story. It's not the one that I imagine Star Wars being. just would have seen it more like, oh, Obi-Wan just finds some pilot, maybe during the Clone Wars, and it's like, oh, he's really got the Force, and they became friends, and he wanted to train him and all this stuff, and then they had a falling out, and guess what? He ended up being Darth Vader. But I mean, the story changes as it goes along. I mean, originally, Darth Vader was not Luke's father, and Luke and Leia weren't twins. Like, all this stuff changed. So as the story changed, it's like you reassemble the chronology. But yeah, Lucas, he had all this time to think about it in between. And he had all these expanded universe novels to like explore ideas for him that he could think about it. And then he decided, okay, now this is going to be the official backstory. Doesn't matter what the previous backstory was. This is the official one now.
Right.
And it wasn't perfect, but yeah, I know the prequels were divisive for a lot of people, but I think the new stuff is even more divisive.
Well, so Joe,
because there you're messing with characters that are already established, and
as far as the two Sith go, I can kind of agree with that, but they did make an explanation for that though as well.
Yeah, the rule of two.
Yeah, which was Darth Bane's
originally
principle.
there were lots of Sith originally.
And if you watched my KOTOR gameplay at all, you'd realize why Bane went with the rule of two, because the traditional Sith back in the Old Republic days, where they were power hungry all the time, and
they ruled planets, they ruled galaxies.
Well, their creed also kind of pretty much read to them that they were to take over their masters, and also during times of combat they were to take over their pupils. They had the what do you call them? They had a very Klingon way of thinking.
Oh.
You were more likely to get yourself killed.
These barrels have no honor.
So
when I watch Star Wars now, I can pick it apart. Well, Joe, I went through a period where I would do that, and it was kind of an interesting exercise. I think sometimes it was in frustration. Like, you've seen videos of various comedy channels who've done this, where they try to like read stuff from The Force Awakens back into Empire Strikes Back and stuff like that. And it really is, you laugh because it's so like disconcerting. Like, it's such a break. Doesn't quite make sense. But yeah, so for a while I would watch it and go, oh, Obi-Wan just flat out lied there. It's like, wait, what? Chewbacca just like totally threw his friend under the bus just there? Like, wait a minute, he doesn't remember that? Like, what kind of an idiot? Like, but now when I watch those movies, it's like those other things just don't exist. I can just appreciate it and enjoy it for what it is. I don't assume like, oh yeah, in that one comic they explained why that happened. Like, I understand that's an after the fact rationalization. If you were a historian studying it, trying to like, come up with this coherent harmonization and say, oh, well, I'm just actually watching propaganda. This is the edited history, and like the real history was something else that happened. I mean, I get it that like characters can be wrong. Like, just because Obi-Wan says something doesn't mean it's like automatically true. Search your feelings. You know it to be true. but still, it's like it set a certain expectation. Lucas himself gave interviews where people asked him, oh, what happened in the other stories that you would have written? Oh, well, this, that. Like, he gave little clues. And yes, I know he changed his mind, and he is free to change his mind. But there was, I think, like, people created a headcanon, which wasn't just like fans being entitled. It was based on something. It was inspired by those comments that Lucas made, comments taken from characters in the movies, and then stuff that was portrayed in the expanded universe. And then the prequels weren't that way. So I remember back, a lot of people were saying similar things to what you're saying. Maybe not the exact same thing, of saying, yeah, it wasn't what I expected, so therefore it sucked.
And like I said, to me, it all makes sense. At least up to the prequels and the expanded universe. It does.
It could make sense.
And I even read Splinter in the Mind's Eye and stuff that was before the prequels.
Yeah.
And if you, like I said, if you think and you keep your mind open, it can still technically fit. I'm just
from a certain point of view.
I suppose. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't.
I mean, some of the
like I said,
some of the things
I don't tend to categorize like things.
Some of
or
the-
people.
some of them are kind of forced, like saying, big pun, like over 1,000 generations is 1,000 years. Like, well, maybe every generation was like every year they graduated Jedi students, and so that was a generation.
See, but you
and they weren't talking
you
about.
are thinking way too hard about it, man.
But those are the conversations that we had when these movies came out.
Yeah, and I got
like,
a big,
wait a minute,
I got a
wait a
big
minute.
1,000-page book that I read every time somebody submits points that pretty much will explain that to you. Like literally,
Yeah,
I have people who submit for that. But and that's what I'm saying is like the Great Hyperspace
the
War
product
will tell you that.
Years. But see, that's the product of years of people writing letters to Lucasfilm and them like hammering these
And
things
getting
out.
it published and it going over, and they didn't just write that. That Lucas approved it and said go for it, and then there it was.
So he screwed up and then he fixed it.
What do you mean he screwed up and then he fixed it?
Well, you get these plot holes, you get these inconsistencies that bug people, so then they create some extra product to like smooth it over for you. So now you can be happy.
Bro, I'm not picking up what you're putting down. All I'm saying is that like if you wanted to know at one point in time why Boba Fett was so badass, then they explained it for you at one point in time. My thing is that they gave you all this shit in the expanded universe that whether or not you chose to read it, play it, or listen to it.
Like to know more.
Yeah, they gave it to you, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or you could just roll with what you had. But now what they're doing is they've wiped it all away, and now they're trying to do it again. But they've pretty much said, "Oh no, why the fuck did we do that?" Because it's like somebody wiping the board and trying to recreate all that shit and fucking it up. Like, have you ever restarted a project and realized that it was better before you fucking restarted it? Because like now that you've restarted it, you can't fix everything that's already been like fucked up. So you're pretty much stuck with what you have. Like I've done that before. There are some video games where like if you have something time invested in it, it's better to just like if you fuck up to just keep going than to hit the new game, because then you're really in the shit. That's what Disney did with Star Wars. Is they said, "Oh, sorry, none of this shit's canon. We're just gonna make up our own shit as we go along." And they said, "Oh, well, you know what? We're just gonna start taking shit out of the canon because it seems like it's a little bit too fucking difficult." And then Kathleen Kennedy goes, "Oh, well, you know, I feel a little left out. I want to incorporate my own thoughts, so I'm gonna start picking people that are out of rom-coms and weird fucking low B-grade movies, and they're gonna make Star Wars for me now, because they just don't know how to say no." And that's it. Like, to me, it's, back then, if you didn't want to read the expanded universe, Star Wars made sense whether you read it or not.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to read about Chewbacca's death and the Uzan Vong, then at least you still had the original trilogy, the prequels, and that was it. Or fuck, you even still just had the original trilogy. You didn't have a movie or a TV show coming out every 2 seconds. Star Wars was simple, as in like it resided in the dark, and the only new content that came out with it were video games that got approved, because it was not the thing happening now. It was pop culture that was popular because it was famous, because it was so popular at one point in time that nothing topped it. And it was just so known to everybody that it didn't need to have something coming out every 2 seconds.
Well, they had the Marvel comics, but I think at that time there was just a general understanding that even though they made comics of all the movies,
Captain America and Iron Man were not being mentioned every 2 seconds on TV. Like, I still watch old Simpsons episodes that have Darth Vader being parodied, and Darth Vader was like that was like 89. Like, and like I said, it was not a thing. Like, Star Wars was still being mentioned years after, before anything new coming out.
my point is, like, when you made a movie about Batman, nobody was like, wait a minute, that couldn't happen because Batman was doing something else in the comics. They'd be like, no, this is just another interpretation.
No, because they rebooted Batman every like 10 years.
Yeah, that
like
too.
Batman, Superman, James Bond, they don't ever have like an actual canon. They just show up and there's an adventure. It's like The Legend of Zelda. There are people who make a fucking canon for Zelda, but nobody ever fucking cares because every time there's a new Legend of Zelda, they just play it. It's Link going on another adventure.
I feel like at one time the Star Wars expanded universe was that way. Now you could say, well, maybe that was only for like 1 or 2 years, and then they got together and said, let's have a shared continuity. So these are Luke and Leia's, or these are Han and Leia's kids. This is Luke's students. This is this is what happened to the New Republic.
1 second, sorry.
So it's consistent.
I think I have like a cricket on the floor, man.
Spiders.
Why the fuck? I don't even have anything to smash it with either.
Use your copy of The Rise of Skywalker on Blu-ray.
No.
Nope, that was in the burn pit. All right, folks, this is what we've come down to.
Sorry. Killing bugs on stream. Yeah, I just didn't want it to get in my carpet. I don't know how it got there. Because my door's not open.
It's like, see this giant, like, spider behind him.
Fuck off, but yeah, not to ignore anybody else.
Keep your
cricket
on your... Oh, cricket on your desk. I'm pretty sure you shouldn't break it. Darth, thanks. Well, yeah, I feel like the Jar Jar Binks thing was an experiment, and it just wasn't well received.
It was to relate to more children, and like I said before, the big
you
thing
wanted
here...
to have Roger Rabbit in... but you didn't have Toontown.
But that's
I guess
the thing.
You had Gungan.
That's the thing. Kurgan was it related to children, but the demographic wasn't shifted a lot more. Star Wars was an all ages thing, and when you try to do
for everyone,
when you try to do something that's 20 plus years old at the time, and most people who were kids when they watched Star Wars have grown up, and there were adults back then watching Star Wars who have gotten older.
Yeah, that was
Star
a big
Wars
deal.
Isn't just a kids thing; it's an adult and an older adult thing, and they see this weird CG, horribly CG'd animal
cartoon character
acting like an ass. They're wondering what the fuck, because like it wasn't in their other Star Wars movies, and like I said, that was a big thing.
Yeah, you had slapstick characters, but they were just like one-offs. Like, an Ewok fell down, and then it moves on. He isn't a main character that's in half the movie.
How it was treated, I think, was not very nice. But
no.
But like I said, I'm glad that the actor is doing better.
Yeah,
and he's embracing it.
We wish him the best.
But like I said, as far as it goes,
Nokia on the cricket. But I know there were people that liked Jar Jar, so yeah, maybe if I was 10 with the sequels, I might have been more.
That's the thing, Joe. I was 10. With episode 1, I was 7.
Oh dang! Did you like Jar Jar?
I was 7. I didn't care. I thought he was funny a little bit at times.
I will say that there was a time when I thought Yoda in Empire Strikes Back was annoying. Like, I was like, oh, why is he doing
there was a big... See, that was the thing, though. It's like, that's why I'm telling you guys that, like,
he's testing Luke. But then, now I laugh at him. I think he's hilarious.
We have... It's a generational change nowadays because, back then, I was 7 years old, and I had been taken to see the original trilogy more than enough times between 95 and 99 because it was re-released multiple times. And then I would watch the box set when I got home because I was, just excited. And then when I went to go see episode 1, I didn't care. It was Star Wars to me. And seeing them like fight with the lightsabers all the time and, you know, doing all that stuff and getting the toys and getting the comlink and stuff like that, that's what it was about. Because at 7 years old, you don't know what the corporate agenda is. You don't learn about any of that shit, you know, and that's the thing, is the ignorance is played upon you a lot of the time.
I liked the Ewok Adventure when I was a kid.
But
I didn't get people who didn't like the Ewoks. It took a long time for me to get it. Like, okay. I guess they are kind of silly.
they're very silly, but they're like, I think they're more interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Now the Gungans as a species, I didn't mind. Like,
yeah. Well, we only really there were three characters: Captain Tarpals, Jar Jar, and Boss Nass.
To you, there were 3 characters. There was a lot more than that.
What, like in the expanded universe?
Yes.
Okay.
Video games, stuff like that. I mean, see, you always say that. You say expanded universe was like this deep groan. Like,
well, that's what we called it back then. I don't call it Legends. The expanded universe.
No, and I prefer that, but like you say it with such disdain. Like,
oh, well, I don't mean to. I don't mean to.
To me, it's like the whipped cream on your sundae.
When I heard about the new Jedi Order.
What about underwater Jamaicans? What are we? Oh, hey.
When I heard about the new Jedi Order, I thought
that is not what that is.
I thought that sounds stupid, so I kind of gave up at that point. Not just because of that, though. I think I'd read a few different novels that it was like, well, that was kind of okay. It wasn't that good. And I just saw they were making so many of them, and I don't know, I kind of lost interest at that time. But that's not me saying, oh, the concept of the expanding universe shouldn't exist. There shouldn't be new Star Wars content, or I don't like it when they make new Star Wars stuff. It's like, oh, they are making it is a bold new direction, but it's just not, like, I'm not interested in it. Because I remember reading Star Wars novels where I'm like, wow, they're taking me to like new planets. And there's like new creatures that I've never saw before. And then there were other times where it's like, oh, I'm revisiting, you know, the same characters and they're doing stuff similar to the movies. It's like they're both enjoyable in just in different ways. But there you're talking about a format like a comic where it doesn't move except in your mind, or a novel where your mind fills in all the details. You just have the written word. Whereas with a movie, it's a lot harder. I mean, you've seen the Ewok Adventures now, and how in one of them, like, their lips don't move at all, and yet they speak like fluent basic. They speak English. And then in the other one, their lips do move, and so then you've got this weird thing. Like, Lucas didn't go in and CGI the lips on the Ewoks so that they would talk. Supposedly that was Warwick Davis. Like, he figured out if he could stick his tongue through the mask and he could make the lips move with his tongue. And so that's why his character is the most articulate looking of all the Ewoks. It's like, that was pretty cool. Underwater Jamaicans. Yeah, somebody watched The Little Mermaid and was like, nailed it. Yeah, so the 2 Ewok Adventures, I remember it was a TV event. It was like the Ewok Adventure, like from the world of Star Wars. Like, oh, sweet. And we saw it, and it was like kind of cool. And actually, it kind of filled in a little gap, because remember, people made fun of the fact that, oh, the Ewoks just happened to have these log traps that could destroy, like, you know, chicken walkers like easily. It was because there were these giant monsters that lived in the forest that they would build those traps to take out. So similar height to the walkers, so it kind of made sense. The second Ewok Adventure, that's the one that has Wilford Brimley in it, and it has that witch that can like shapeshift with her magic ring. It's a little different, but I guess both of them came out as theatrical films in the UK. So the first one was called Caravan of Courage, and the second one was Battle for Endor.
Right.
And I didn't see the sequel until the Battle for Endor one until like many, many years later. But yeah, it's kind of a curiosity. It's definitely way above like the holiday special, which is just a disaster, like so bad it's good. Whereas the Ewok Adventures, they're kind of like lighthearted. They're kind of, I mean, they're definitely kid focused because the main characters are children and Wicket, the Ewok. Yeah, Wilford Brimley. See, I remember him from the Liberty Mutual, Diabetes Supplies.
Call Liberty.
Yep. And then the was it the Quaker Oats? It's the right thing to do. And Cocoon, where they get in the swimming pool with the alien pods and they become young again.
See, I just remember him from from the Liberty commercials and from The Thing.
Yeah.
Because he was in
Oh
The
yeah,
Thing.
yeah, The Thing. Yes, that's true. Yeah, I always forget that he's in it. Like every time, like I watch the movie and go, "That's Wilford Brimley." It's like,
Bro, and he did the really creepy scene too.
Yeah.
Where he's
He did
like,
a great job.
like begging to get out and stuff, but you didn't know if it was actually him or.
Yeah, playing against type.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was playing like crotchety old men like before he was even old because he had that look about him.
Dude, and that like I said, that scene was like one of the creepiest scenes in because like that movie better than the remake or the whatever the prequel. But
Prequel.
like that whole movie had you second guessing the entire time all the way to the end. But like that scene with Wilford Brimley was like he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm feeling fine. Come let me out." Blah blah blah, and like you can't tell if it was actually him or if he'd been taken over. And but you could tell that there was the noose in the background. So like it was just fucking with you the entire time.
The Boba Fett thing was silly too, though. I remember watching the Droids cartoon and the Ewoks cartoon, and they were silly. They were incredibly silly. But I watched them because I was a kid, and if it was a cartoon, it had to be watched. And it was Star Wars, and I like Star Wars, so I just gave it a pass. But yeah, it just was. I mean, I know people say it was the least offensive of the things in the holiday special, but hey, Life Day is canon now, so happy Life Day.
Yeah, you technically still didn't know who the thing was at the end. Wasn't it implying that
It was John Carpenter, the director. See, the cameraman was actually the one.
Because what's his name?
Yeah, the two guys at the end, they're just like, okay, we'll just kind of wait it out and see. Like, either we're going to freeze to death or we're going to find out who the monster is.
Yeah. Man.
Yeah, The Thing.
Good movie.
Yeah, that was one of those movies that my parents and I watched on TV, and it was so gruesome. It was like, oh, maybe you shouldn't be watching this, and it was like, but still, I was one of those kids that like I wanted to watch the creature feature. You know, I wanted to see the monster, and like my mind would fill in the details. So of course I got scared. Of course I knocked on my parents' bedroom in the middle of the night. Oh. It's like, oh, why'd you let you watch the movie? It's like you said you weren't scared. Yes, I was.
I do miss me some Kurt Russell.
Oh yeah.
And like I said, those were movies that were before my time, but I grew up watching them.
China.
Yep.
Yeah.
That was that was Snake Plissken, right? It was Escape from New York. That was Kurt Russell,
Escape
right?
from New York. Yeah. And then Escape from L.A. Although Escape from New York is the one I remember more. And then wasn't he in Soldier? I never saw it, but
I think so.
And of course, Stargate.
Wait, are you talking about Soldier? Are you talking about Jean-Claude Van Damme?
No, that was Universal Soldier.
That's Universal Soldier, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, but there was one where it was like a similar type of idea where he was like some programmed guy. I don't think he was a robot. He was just indoctrinated or something.
Dude,
He played Santa Claus too.
Did I show you that deep fake with Universal Soldier where they replaced like Arnold's face in like the restaurant scene where he's like knocking over those dudes, and they like had like a voice actor mimic his voice, so it's like
Instead of
Arnold's face.
Jean-Claude, it's
Yeah, and he's like,
Arnold
I just
Schwarzenegger.
want to eat.
I can imagine that. That sounds funny.
It's so good.
See, now, like, when we're old and we have dementia, like, we're trying to remember stuff, like, it's going to be so hard because it's like, no, he's not remembering the movie, he's remembering a deep fake YouTube video that was made, like, 14 years later. I mean, he does have dementia, but that memory is real.
See, my
Okay.
memory's getting bad because I stay up all the time, and, like, I have all those kids.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be brain rot
You wake
before I
up
even
and
get that.
You realize that, like, it's Fight Club and you've started, like, Project Mayhem. You didn't even know about it. Dang. Didn't even sleep.
Well,
Yeah, Hercules Unchained. That's on my list of movies to
Oh
see.
man,
They've made so much fun of that. Well, if you've seen when I was watching the Mad Max movies, and the very first one, like, on the DVD they have the original audio track, and then they dubbed over Mel Gibson's voice because they're like, no, we can't understand him. The thick Australian accent, even though he wasn't born there. Yeah. Of course, then that makes me want to. So makes me want to hear the bad dubbing of Hercules, and it also makes me want to hear, like, what the original dialogue was. Like, my strength has left my body. Hercules, what's wrong? My strength has left my body. That's the line everyone quotes. I haven't seen it. So. There was a skit that they did in one. It was like an Easter egg in one of the Terminator movies. It might have been Terminator 3, which was not a good Terminator movie. It was it's like a training video or something, and they have, like, Arnold Schwarzenegger, but he has, like, a totally different voice. They're like, oh, he's going to be the model for the new soldier of the future, and it's like he has, like, this southern drawl. Like, oh, we'll give him a new voice. Like, I have the perfect voice for him. Which didn't make any sense because the machines made Arnold, not the humans, but it was an alternate future. He was born there but raised in the U.S. Yeah. Oh, so I had it backwards. Really? Oh, okay. See, I thought he was an American who had been raised in Australia, but actually he was an Australian who was raised in America. Okay, well, in any case, during the movie, yeah, apparently they thought his accent was so thick they couldn't understand it, so they dubbed it over. But you can listen to it either way. And in the other movies, he has his own voice.
Hey, Kurgan.
Yeah.
I hate to break it to you, but we are at the 3-hour mark.
Dang. No wonder I'm so tired.
And I am probably going to stream for a little bit after this, so.
Oh, man. I better get some sleep then.
Because I'm going to be doing Star Wars Genesis after this, so.
Star Wars Genesis? What's that?
Yeah, so they came out with the update for the mod for Starfield, which is the complete overhaul called Star Wars Genesis, which has more mods than I did last time. Because I told you, I think I told you I modded Starfield, which was like, it was like 90 mods or something. It looked really good. This is like 200 mods, and it came with like an auto installer.
Oh, sweet. So it's a
modifies the entire game, so it skips like the intro, allows you to pick a class, does all that stuff. So.
Oh man.
Only thing it didn't do was ships, but and they're waiting for certain things to kind of make that easier. But they've got just about everything else, down to the sound effects, menu screens, everything.
Man.
So.
Bless those fans and their devotion. That sounds great. Well, I hope you have a great time.
Oh yeah.
I'm gonna be well, trying to rest up, but then I've gotta, like, I think I've got like 36 more pieces that I've got to paint. Well, if I get my project done. If I don't get it done, it's not the end of the world. But I'm trying to get this like painting project done for GenCon. And I took the character sheet that Ribby created for Orc Quest, and I took his advice. I printed it out in color, and I laminated it, and it looks fantastic. And so I'm gonna have like a wet erase marker, because the original game didn't come with a character sheet. You just had your pile of cards, and it's like you go from session to session. So anyway, I'm gonna bring that along to GenCon, and we'll see if we can play some games. Really excited to meet some of these people. Cool. I know Daedalus, or Deadlios, however you say his name. Yeah. He is the head moderator at Yield Inn. He's going to be there, apparently, with some of his kids. So I've never met the guy before. I don't even know what he looks like, but it's like, oh, that'd be sweet. And it's like, hey, thanks for keeping that community going for all those years. All those crotchety old HeroQuest fans that helped keep the flames going. Yeah.
You helped do that too.
Yeah, there's two weeks to go. Actually, less than that, because I'm going to be leaving. I'm planning to leave on the 31st. Drive all day, and then 4 days of gaming, and then drive back.
Cool.
Yeah. And the guy I'm traveling with has had some health stuff, so he might not get to go. So I might just be going by myself. So the hardest part will just be getting there. But I mean, I don't have to tell you about long car trips and lugging stuff around. But
nope.
I've done similar stuff before, so I think I can make it. It's a lot better when you're traveling with someone.
I'm actually doing a 3-hour drive tomorrow, so.
Oh dang. Well.
Good luck to you, buddy.
Drive safe, yeah.
Will do.
Yeah.
Well,
you can use your newfound rippling muscles to protect yourself when you're out there in the wilds.
Yeah, rippling. Can't you tell how rippling they are?
Yeah.
All right, well, with that, guys, I'm going to go ahead and I'll start playing this out here. So,
thanks for joining us on the RantCast.
Yeah, I'll do our little spiel.
Yeah. So we'll get to raid you instead of Trump or Biden.
Yeah.
Although it's funny, they keep updating that AI to try to like avoid it, but people keep putting like these nonsense poems, so they're just like talking and then suddenly like, yeah.
Oh my gosh.
The voice like cracks and it's just like, yes, I got him. I broke the thing. So silly.
Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed this episode of the RantCast Podcast. Once again, my name is Josh. I'm also known as StrangeBus. You can find me at twitch.tv/TheStrangeBus, which I'll be streaming right after this. I'm also joined by my other host here, Kurgan, also known as HeroQuest Fans. You can find him at twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. That's twitch.tv/HeroQuest Fans. Also has a YouTube, and that's XSC3, home of HeroQuest Fans. I mean, I have a YouTube too, but don't even worry about that. It's the same name.
Oh.
And I barely ever update it.
Strange.
But if you want to sub, you can.
Yeah, not a big deal.
Not a big deal.
Rate, comment, subscribe.
Smash that like button. Sit on it, you know.
Smash it. Ring the bell for notifications. Or you get your bell wrong.
Recommend the RantCast to your friends.
Recommend RantCast. And maybe someday we'll have a merch shop and we can sell those two T-shirts that I printed out.
Well, I am going to say that at the end here. If you do like the RantCast, you should recommend, because the more followers we get, the closer we get to affiliate on the RantCast, which gets emotes, kind of better intro. I'll be able to work on that. I'm actually going to try to, once things kind of clear up, because things are smoothing out a little bit better, we're going to start working on the Twitch page for the RantCast Podcast, and then we'll maybe look at starting to maybe do more live shows again. But yeah.
Oh man, that would be great.
Maybe upgrading the quality of the recording. So
yeah,
because I need to get some better equipment. My stuff's starting to fall apart. But yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great.
Yeah. So for 100 rant cubes or whatever, I'll yell RantCast. That'll be one of them. I don't know. We'll have to come up with something.
At the end of the day, we appreciate you guys being here, and as always, I hope you guys have a rest of your night/day. If you're not joining me on stream, take good care of yourselves and each other. We'll catch you guys on the next RantCast.
Be safe out there. RantCast. Yeah.